Check, test. Okay, we're live.
Good evening. Okay, I think it's time. Sorry about the wait. Thank you all for being so patient. It is 6:11, and we will call the session to order. We have an invocation by Pastor Pete. Will you please step forward? Please stand.
Join with me in prayer. Our God, our Father, we're blessed for the opportunity just to enjoy each day as a gift from you, and what a blessing to be able to live in this great community. Thank you for the different things that we share in common, and thank you for just asking for your guidance in those things that can sometimes be a challenge. What a great weekend. Thank you, God, for the many service organizations and the endless hours that they contribute just to make this a wonderful and enjoyable time, but also a time in which we are grateful for those who have served our country and continue to do so. Thank you for their service and for just the commitment and dedication on their part. And we're grateful for our city council and their commitment as well. Guide and bless them in all the deliberations and this night and the things that come before them. And we would pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing for the flag salute. Terry, you're closest. Why don't you begin?
Ready to begin?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stephanie, can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Bonner.
Here.
Councilmember Aaron-Krantz.
Present.
Councilmember Green.
Here.
Councilmember Haggerty. Mayor Pro Tem Warren.
Here. We need an approval of the city council agenda. Can
I
we-
move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All approving, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say no. 5 in favor, 0 no. The next item is a statement regarding reimbursement issues. I'm not sure where we're beginning with this, if this is from city staff.
Well, I'd like to just apologize for city staff. Obviously, the buck stops with me, and so city staff, with regards to this issue, dropped the ball. We was no oversight. We know there's no fraud or malfeasance on Councilmember Haggerty's part whatsoever. Things were missed, and it happened. However, the staff has now put procedures in place, so this won't happen. This can't happen again.
Okay, next we move to, we don't have public comment yet, right?
This is not public comment.
I don't know if there were other comments by council members.
That's what I'm just wondering why we have a member of the public waiting to speak.
I'm guessing he's gonna tell you.
Okay, let's first deal with the council. Are there any other comments that the council, any members of the council would like to make?
Okay. You might as well sit down. It's going to take a few minutes.
It'll take less than 3 minutes. John Zeitz,
No, no,
30279 Clearwater Drive, Canyon Lake,
John-
92587.
John, please take a seat, and then when you're through to speak, when public comments are ready, you can come up at that time.
This is not a public comment. This is an agendized item.
No, it is.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, are you making public comment on this item? Are you commenting on this item?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you have to wait until that item comes up.
The
item's up.
procedure we were following, as you probably recall from the rules of decorum, is for the council to make their comments. Staff has made a comment. And then after those comments, before there's any action, although I don't know that any is contemplated, to hear from those who wish to comment on this item, you and others. And do you have speaker slips on this? Okay. So can you let the council
Sure, go ahead.
go?
Okay. Fellow council members, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here. Those who are here as supporters and those who are here because, like me, they care about Canyon Lake. I'd kind of like to reset what transpired at our last meeting, where I was the subject of a very unfortunate presentation by the ad hoc committee, who stated they had a moral and civic duty to bring information to the council regarding anomalies with my expense reports and determine consequences for me. It was overblown, and I think the words were poorly chosen. Unfortunately, the wording posted on the agenda and in the report given that night suggested to anyone listening, whether intentional or not, that I was engaged in shady business. Because of the lack of detail and clarification, it resulted in a lot of false and misleading information disseminating into the community, such as postings that I had been stealing money from the city for over a year, that I should be arrested, that I should be put in jail. It went on and on. After speaking with one of those who made a particularly vile posting, I spoke with him for almost an hour. He sent out an apology to all those that he had posted to originally and recanted all that he had said. I value my integrity above all else. And this just put me over the edge. I felt I had to defend myself, and I was determined to clarify what actually happened. I didn't falsely take money. I certainly didn't knowingly break any state law. And if my expense reports went against city council as suggested policy, as suggested, they should have been returned by management for correction. I immediately provided whatever was required when asked. The Press Enterprise published an article stating I had resigned as mayor and had agreed to pay back the money I owed the city, again suggesting wrongdoing on my part. When I contacted the Press Enterprise and explained the circumstances, they allowed me to write a rebuttal to this in defending myself. I called it a witch hunt. It seemed to me it was. I did nothing unlawful or unethical. This whole issue is something that should have and could have been resolved quickly and easily. Yes, there was a lack of oversight on my part, and I remedied issues as soon as they were identified, and I apologize for that. If you read what I wrote in the Friday flyer, I hope from that information people have a better understanding that this was an administrative and clerical error. This wasn't worthy of the time, energy, and money it cost the city and the council. I'm sorry it ended up being carried to such extremes. In defending myself, if I offended council members Larry Green and Vicki Warren, who were involved in bringing this issue to the council, I apologize. I was hurt and humiliated through this process, and mostly how it was presented. That I could so easily be accused of any wrongdoing, despite my years of dedicated service, was particularly hurtful. And it was in that context that I responded. Regarding resigning as mayor, I was obviously emotional. I tend to get emotional in that response. I felt blindsided, overwhelmed, attacked, and betrayed by the way the entire matter was framed. That's what triggered my emotion and abrupt resignation as mayor. In hindsight, I should have kept my composure, and because of the minor nature of the issue, ignored what was going on and tried to move forward. There has never been a lapse in my ethics or integrity. I want to say, as an elected leader of this city, I apologize for the emotional response and resignation as mayor. I accepted that position to serve you, and I hope to continue to be an influence for good on the council in our amazing community going forward. I believe as a council we should be ready to put this business behind us and get back to the business we were elected to address. This action really hurt me and those who started it as well. It has also cost the city far too much money, energy, and time. We are here to govern, and to lead those who entrusted us with the authority. There are far more important issues that demand our attention. Thank you again to all of you for being here and for your continued support.
Any further comments? Not by me. I would like to say something.
I like to comment when it comes to voting.
Do you want to go now?
No, whenever the mayor selection starts, I would like to comment.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that, Don. I appreciate that if our feelings were hurt, that you're sorry that our feelings were hurt. It's a little tough. I've spent the last 4 weeks or so having to defend myself on a daily basis for doing my job.
So bad.
We are all in agreement that so much energy has been spent on this that we need to get past it. I just need to make it clear that when Larry Green and I were assigned as ad hoc committee, we were looking at reimbursement procedures and policies. We discovered information that, according to our rules here in Canyon Lake and the rules of public meetings, we couldn't discuss with anybody else, including the person that it was involving. We had to do what we had to do. That said, there were also weeks ahead of time that this was discussed, and we were trying to get these things taken care of. So we did everything that we could as council members, and for doing our job, we've been accused of some pretty terrible things. It was not only to be, our goal on the 26th was not only to be transparent, but it was also to provide Mayor Haggerty the opportunity to respond and put this into context, and also to accept responsibility for failing to comply with the procedures in place for expense reimbursements. I'm sorry that it was misconstrued at the time and it created such an issue. I think the blame laid squarely on other shoulders as well. The witch hunt was aimed in the wrong direction. We should not have been part of it. To be clear, neither Larry Green or myself had an opinion as to whether Councilmember Haggerty engaged in any intentional malfeasance or wrongdoing. Our goal was not to decide such things. We were acting on the information that we had been given by the city manager and staff, which we learned later was not the truth, and simply had no choice but to bring it to the attention of the rest of council, which is required in public, not private. It's a difficult situation because no matter how uncomfortable it is, we can't take these things privately. And as the public, you don't want us taking these things privately. When it's uncomfortable, it doesn't excuse it. It was an uncomfortable moment. We would have loved to address it quietly and privately, but we can't. We aren't. By mandate, we're not allowed to. And that's in deference to you, the public, and us ourselves as citizens also. But enough is enough. It's time to move on. We need to heal the city, get back to work. We've got a fire department, a fire station that's opening up. We've got summer coming. Taco Tuesday is next week. We've got a lot of good things in this community, and it's time to get past some of the bad feelings that have been spread out there for the last 4 weeks. I'd like to move to the next item, which is
You have a comment from Mr. Zayat.
on the statement regarding the number 5.
He has the right to make a comment on the
Okay.
agenda.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, John Zeitz, 30279 Clearwater Drive, Canyon Lake, California, 92587. Mayor Pro Tem, there are 4 things that I would like to bring up. Last meeting, I said that I received Dawn's expense accounts from December through March, but did not get 2 for January. I said either she did not do 2, or the city did not give me all the records that I should have gotten in the records request. Well, the mystery was solved. During the meeting, the city attorney gave me her copies of the records, and there were 2 for January. The city failed to give me all the records and comply with the Records Request Act. Second, last meeting, Vicki Warren and Larry Green said that they could not make a recommendation to the council on action to be taken against Don Haggerty, that they could only make recommendations. Yet when Councilmember Aaron Krantz asked how much Don owed, Vicki Warren gave 2 figures that totaled $900. One of the figures was for $687 was for phone service. That she and the committee decided that Dawn was not entitled to any reimbursement. Interesting that at one point she says she cannot make decisions and then makes a decision to go against the city policy for reimbursement. The question for Dawn is not whether she should get reimbursement for phone, but how much. A matter a better answer to Councilmember Aaron Krantz would have been, it's $120 for internet, and the amount for the phone has yet to be determined. There appears to be an intentional misleading of information to the council. This is a violation of the Code of Conduct, intentionally mislead or misinform each other. What could be the reason for this? Did she want the job as mayor? There are two other two other codes of conduct regulations that Vicky also violated, personally attacking other council members and embarrass each other in the organization. Did she also violate the hidden agenda code? The actual amount that Dawn got overcompensated for was less than $183. $33.55 for phone for the year was how much she got overcompensated. This is not the first time Vicky has misled the council, and if Dawn should not be mayor because of this minor indiscretion, then Vicky should never be mayor for her code of conduct violations. I think this council, and I think you tried, but not very well, Vicky owes an apology and should ask and pray and make Dawn mayor again and remove Vicky from any position in which she has any authority. Thank you very much.
Do I respond?
No.
Okay, so now we move on. No more public comments on number 5? Okay, now we go to the selection of mayor. But first, Councilmember Aaron Krantz would like to say a few words.
Well, I would like to participate in the selection of the mayor, and I'd like to give the reason why, if I may. And I may ramble on a little bit if I exceed the 3.
We need to go through the procedure to set up the nominations.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what you, go to your script, and it will tell you that you call on the office specialist, who will then read the process for going through the nominations. We've specifically added a city council comment and public comment portion.
Office Specialist Stephanie Hunter, please.
We're going to open the floor up for nominations for the appointment of the mayor's seat. At this point, are there any nominations for mayor?
I would like to nominate Randy Bonner as mayor.
I second.
I don't know the
Not
second's
at this moment. Are there
necessary.
any other nominations for mayor?
There's no second needed.
No. Yes, I would like to nominate Don Haggerty.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, Councilmember Bonner and Councilmember Haggerty have been nominated for mayor.
Thank you. Are there any additional council comments on the nominations? Did you want to go?
If I may.
Yes.
As I say, this may take a few moments, but I would like to explain why I have placed Don's name in nomination. And I don't think that the 3-minute rule is going to apply because I may ramble just a little bit too. You know, we last met on 4/26/17, and that meeting really turned ugly. At that meeting, I chose not to comment on the proceedings until I heard all that was to be discussed in closed session later that evening. I can't discuss what happened in closed session, but I was angry. Now, I was gone for 3 weeks and after that meeting and did not have a platform on which I could speak. And some wise man once said, when you're angry, you'll probably give the best speech you'll ever regret. Some time ago, when I was reelected again this term, I told my wife and I told others I was really looking forward to working with this council because I knew we had one that was going to really be cohesive and easy to work with. I knew that, well, I shouldn't say I knew, I envisioned that Don would be mayor. I knew that the following year, Vicki, you would be mayor. The third year, either Larry or Randy would be mayor, and the fourth year, either Randy or mayor would be mayor. I've kept myself out of the mix. I've had the pleasure of being mayor twice, So I didn't want to be considered for that. All of that kind of fell apart on the night of 4/26, when the mayor supposedly made a tremendous mistake. And I'm being facetious when I use the word tremendous. This error should have never risen to the height that it did. And I think we all know that now. I reviewed all of Don's expense reports, and I know that you have also, others have. And what I found was, yes, Don did not sign any of the reports at the bottom. Her name appeared at the top with the date of each report. Is there a good excuse for that? Probably not, but it did happen. But she also, and they weren't all too legible, but she did supply a certain amount of receipts. Was that okay? Well, it could have been cleared up a little bit better than they was, but she did attempt to give some receipts. All of this should have been brought to the attention to the city manager, or the staff, or the previous finance committee, or the existing finance committee. And all of us council members are just as culpable. We signed those checks. If there wasn't any backup, then we should have brought that to the attention also. I know that we're going to have some strict policies and procedures in place pretty quick, I do believe. I want to see Dawn finish her term as mayor, and next year continue the rotation as I previously mentioned. You know, we have much larger problems facing us. I want to see this council, as someone once said, can't we all get along? And those audience members that demanded Dawn should resign, take a step back and realize that as mayor, she was doing a good job representing our city, and we should all be proud of what she did. Why don't we just move forward and concentrate on the positive rather than the negative? I'm going to remind you, and I think you've probably heard it before, that God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth. Therefore, you'll always know that I listen carefully before I speak. And when I do, I think it's important. One last comment. Sometimes it's better to remain silent and be thought of as a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. Why don't we just move forward? Thank you.
Public comment?
Okay, we'll open the floor to public comment.
Were there other council member comments?
Any other council member comments? Before we move forward, I would just like to say it has been a bad time. My nomination of Randy Bonner was to help get us through that. He's been in this position before. He's a calm, steady voice. And I think if we are talking about healing the council, I think that he'd be a very strong mayor to do that for us. Now we open the floor to public comments. Do you have some?
Yeah. Paul Queen?
Is this on automatically? Hi, thank you for hearing me. First, I'd like to say that I'm speaking as a private citizen and not as a representative of the POA. When all this happened and I watched the videos of everything that happened last month, April 26th, I became curious because I heard Dawn say that she signed the forms and the box that was provided didn't seem like it was the area to sign. So I became curious and I Googled what is the definition of signing. And the first dictionary definition that came up from Google said to write your name on a document. Well, Dawn wrote her name on each document, so in my opinion, by definition, she signed all of her forms. I since then have been shown the form, and the form did have a square box where it said you could put your signature, and right below that signature it said for internal use only. It appeared to me that it was a box for somebody approving the expense to sign in. So I could totally understand and see why she didn't feel that that was the place to sign the form. So because of this, I kind of feel like this whole situation was indeed overblown. I don't think Dawn did anything wrong. I don't think Dawn has a dishonest bone in her body. I've had the privilege of working with Dawn over the last year. In the last couple of months, she's contacted the POA and the board to try and get support for school buses going to the estates where there are more children there now, reopening the fire station, getting a shuttle to assist seniors in getting back and forth to doctor's appointments or grocery store or whatever is needed. This is a woman that's in her twilight years that works her tail off for the benefit of all of us here in the community. So I would strongly support putting Dawn back in her correct place as mayor of this community. And I just wanted to say for myself, Dawn, that I support you absolutely 100%. And that's what I wanted to say tonight. Thank you.
Stephanie, do you have more?
John Guzman.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem and distinguished council members, I've a lot of things I wanted to say, but first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you, and I've done this before, but apparently I haven't done it often enough. All of you, every one of you is doing, what you give for the city. It's, you get $300 a month, as I understand, plus your expenses. And, just to be up here and doing what you do for the city, I thank you for that. I don't expect any of you to be perfect. I don't expect you to, you're going to make mistakes, and I'm certain, Larry, maybe we'll talk sometime about maybe some of the little mistakes that you might make along the way. But I do really admire each and every one of you for what you do. My wife and I are in complete agreement, I think, with Mr. Queen just spoke about Dawn, Councilmember Haggerty. She's integrity is the key word, and she reflects integrity for the entire council. And she's done a marvelous job. My wife and I have been here for, 9 years? And, through the POA and through the battles that happened, the POA, and by the way, we do need to learn to look at each other in a little different way. And what I mean by that is we all come from different backgrounds, different experiences. Some of us, and we're not all the same, and we think differently. Some of us will cross every T and dot every I, and other ones are more global thinkers. But all I'm trying to do is just say thank you. Thank you especially for Councilwoman Haggerty for the years that you've been here, and I wholeheartedly would support that she remain as our mayor. Thank you.
Further comments?
Jack Wamsley.
Started to give my tracking a lot. I was at the meeting the other day when this all started. And one of the things that really kind of turned me off is the way that it transpired. The council went into an executive session. You came back out, and immediately, Don, you spent 10, 15 minutes explaining, which the rest of us didn't have the slightest idea what you were talking about, but you spent at least 10 to 15 minutes explaining the situation, but you never once admitted that you made a mistake. Councilman Jordan spoke up and he asked you, he said, Don, would you pay the money back to the city that you owe? Your comment was no. And that's unrecorded. That's not something I thought of. And that really, as a citizen, that really got to me, and that's when I got up and asked you to step down. I did not ask you to resign. I thought that you should step down. And as far as Councilman Warren and Councilman Green, they're doing and did what they were supposed to do. They found out what the problems were, and they brought it up. The sheets that you were turning in did not have support at that time. And you have admitted that. But you supplied them later, you said. The thing that kind of bothers me is you've been on the council for over a year and you haven't figured out how to make out an expense report. And that just kind of really turned me off. I don't hate you, never have. And I think that you spent a lot of time with the community, as many of us have. And, but by the same token, that could have all been settled in about 3 minutes. If you would have walked out, announced that, look, I made a mistake, and I'm going to correct it. That would have been the end of it. We wouldn't have all this crap that's going on, and emails and letters and everything else. You could have ended it right there. So I really think that it's sad that our city is taking a beating over a simple thing like this.
Paul Chanette.
Good evening, Paul Chanette, 23584 Brook Drive, Canyon Lake, California. First of all, I want to say thank you to the entire council. It's a heck of a job, and we appreciate you being here. I remember listening to this, and I was taken back on how it took place. Councilmember Green and Vicki, you did your job. You did exactly what you were tasked to do. I just think it could be handled much better, because how it came out to many of the people sitting here and many who heard it live was that Dawn was a crook. That's how it came out. No matter how you guys want to view it, that's how it came out. That wouldn't steal a nickel. I had the privilege of working with her on a board and for the POA, and it was a pleasure to work with. And I've not met many women more dedicated to her community than Dawn Haggerty. And I think she was very frustrated. Did she make a mistake according to your rules? It appears that was the case. But the first person I would be talking to, and no offense, Aaron, but he admitted it today. You guys did your job. You found it out. The policies are going to be changed. I really believe she should be allowed to finish her term as mayor, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.
Eric Spitzer. On this side.
Hi, council members. It's awesome to be on this side of the microphone for one time. I've never done that before. So I'm here in support of Dawn. It's the only reason I came tonight. I've had the pleasure to work with Dawn for 4 years as a director for the association. She's awesome. She's not a crook. She's honest as the day is long. I've never seen her do anything dishonest. And I think it's just a shame to not have her serve out her term. I have nothing against Randy. I like Randy a lot too. He's a great guy. I have no problem with Randy, but Dawn is supposed to be the mayor. And Vicki, you said that you wanted to correct the wrong and get the city back healing again. How is that going to make the council cohesive if you put somebody else in as mayor? Correct the wrong. You put back what happened before the wrong. Put it back the way it was. That would correct the wrong. If you do what you're proposing, Larry and Vicki, you will make it worse. I don't know how you can't see that. I'm totally in support of Dawn. Thank you.
Yeah, because we Long night, and everybody appreciates the support, but if we could not, our cameraman would appreciate also no applause in between, that would be great. Even, I have my own supporters too.
I don't, well. Daryl?
Hi, I'm Daryl France, 30873 Early Round Drive. Okay. I don't live anywhere. I pretty much know everybody here. Talked to Larry the other day at the golf course. Don, we drove you last year in the Fiesta Days Parade and really enjoyed chatting with you. We've driven Randy and Sue in the years past. I always see Jordan at Pepe's going by, and Vicki, in the interest of transparency, Vicki and I are friends. This whole thing, I would rather be in the dentist chair than doing what you guys are doing right now. But I do have a couple of questions, or one question, and that is, has the money been paid back? Okay, so the money's been paid back, so we're back to zero on that?
I don't know where we stand on that, but as far as I know.
Okay, well, have you paid the money back, Dawn?
The money that they said I owed, I think the majority of it she was talking about was that because my forms were not correct, I owed that money back to the city, even though it's something that was a stipend allowed to us. That's the reason I said I would not pay it back, because I didn't take it. It was given to me as part of the
I'm
process.
not saying you took it. I don't want you to
There was-
use that word, because
there
in no
was
way am
an
I
error.
implying that
There
you've
was an
taken
error
something.
on my
Okay.
internet, which we discovered when I took the backup to the front page, which I had provided. We discovered that there was an error. I immediately gave the city manager a check for the amount that I had been overpaid. I had no idea that I had been overpaid, and I immediately gave him. I have
Okay, so
fixed any
we're back to
issue
zero
there
on
was.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And can I ask, is it appropriate to ask what checks and balances there are in place now to prevent something from happening in the future? Or is that staff work that I don't need to know about, or?
It'll be on the agenda for a future meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you, that's it.
Karen Bevins?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I would like to do a point of clarification. There is a difference between a stipend and an expense account. An expense account, we have to provide receipts, signatures, which covers everything that the IRS allows you. Those who've been in business probably have got many expense accounts. A stipend is a set amount that's given you. It would be considered income. So we aren't talking about a stipend. It isn't automatic, because some people have different amounts that they are billed for on their internet and telephone. And we also have an option of not even taking that and taking it out as a business expense. But just for a point of clarification, it is not a stipend. Thank you.
I used the wrong word, sorry.
Good evening. I'm Karen Bevins, and I'm here in support of Randy, actually, but I do want to say I've watched the two-part video 3 and 4 times, and I kind of disagree. I never saw anybody disrespectful. Nobody accused Dawn of doing anything intentionally, and I don't believe you did anything intentionally. But as mayor, I find it disturbing when you call the taxes and surcharges on the back of your bill funny little tax things, and that you're not a tree, you're a forest. That you don't look at your bills, that it's automatic. And to me, when I have a mayor that's going to review, I need somebody that's going to be both a forest and a tree. They need to be detailed. They need to be big planners. They're signing legal binding contracts that we as taxpayers in this city have to abide by. And if you can't figure out a $30 bill and those funny little tax things, that's a concern to me. Nowhere did I ever think anybody stole money. There was a comment that when you were in the corporate environment, your secretary filled out your expenses. I get that. My secretary filled out mine. But I had to provide my secretary the information to fill out the expense form. I didn't pull it out of the air. I provided them with receipts, with bills, with everything else. And as a corporate person, I also had to approve my employees' expenses. So I know, and anybody in the corporate world that has to do that knows what's required. So my concern is Dawn being reappointed as mayor is just the little details that someday could hang us out to dry. And I'm in favor of Randy. Thank you.
Ted Horton. Nope. Oh, sorry.
Ted Horton, 30098 Red Barn Place. I, like everyone else here, find this extremely difficult. We know all of you. We all consider one another friends. I trust every single one of you in the position that you're in. However, I did attend the 426 meeting. I was a little upset, Don, when you suggested that CLU was putting on a witch hunt for you. CLU was not represented in that meeting. There was not a single comment from anybody from CLU, and as far as I'm concerned, it's defunct at this point. So to elicit that comment, I thought was extremely wrong. Don, I'm sure that you're honest. I do trust you in every second. However, there are standards and protocol for filling out forms, and in your position, we, the public, are absolutely confident that you must do it correctly, and we entrust you with everything that we have, and as a result, it has to be done correctly. And so that not being done, that is a problem as far as I'm concerned. I think feelings have been so badly hurt at that table at this time that I would suggest that going forward that Randy be mayor, and for the next 5 months we just get along, Jordan, your phrase, and make it happen. I just don't think that anyone else can step up, possibly Jordan, but Randy has been appointed or nominated. So I think that's the process at this point. I'm sorry that we've gotten to this point. We do honestly believe that you are honest. I would never for a second believe otherwise, and haven't for everything.
Just
Joe? Wastel? I'm sorry.
And before he tells us where he lives, you do not have to give your address.
I won't do that. I won't do that. Joe Warshley. I wasn't here. I was out of town when all this stuff happened. And I, of course, read about it, and I didn't have it recorded. But all I know is what I've seen and what I've heard. Now, there's no question, first off, Vicki and Larry were doing their job. They were appointed to check and see if everything was copacetic. And they found one problem, which was Don's. They were required under public, in the public, and transparency, to report that at the meeting rather than have a private meeting on this thing. At least this is the way I understand it. Not like all you guys, okay? I'm friends with all of you. And so it's too bad it had to go this far. Don writing things, criticizing Vicki, and then Vicki, of course, answering. It's really a shame that this has happened. What you guys decide tonight, that's up to you. But
Ted made great points. Paul Chanette made some good points, and there was other people that made them. This one lady that talked about expense accounts. But if we could just erase all this stuff and go right back to where we were a month ago or 2 months ago, where we had Don as a mayor and Vicki as a mayor pro tem, and finish out this year that way, and then we can make changes next year, I would be in favor of it. But as Jordan said, we put a board, city council in here that could be one of the best city councils we've had in a lot of years. A city council that, like Jordan said, I agreed that it could work together. And I'd like to see us come back, work together, go back to where we were, stop blaming each other, let Dawn pay back if she hasn't, whatever, she was overpaid. And of course, the city management was at fault also, as they apologized for not catching this stuff years. They should have not approved or been paid the money until they reviewed it. So I think everybody's done their job. I'd like to see us kind of get back to where we were. Thank you.
Rick, you want to speak on this as well, or is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Waiting to be recognized. John Seitz, 30279 Clearwater Drive, Canyon Lake, California, 92587. No, that's part of the decorum, that's part of the policy, that when you want to address the council, that's what you're supposed to do. Just want to make a couple comments, and Mr. Aaron Krantz, I agree with what you're doing and the reasons for which you're doing it. One of the things I find interesting is that the committee as such said that they looked at expense accounts. So I assume they looked at everybody's expense account and not just Dawn's. And as the last meeting, you fessed up, Mr. Aaron Krantz, into saying that you've made some mistakes and you've corrected it. There is an expense account policy that you have, and it says that expense accounts must be done every month. That's not followed. The city does not require it. You have rules that you don't follow, and that's what I've said over and over again. You have rules and you don't follow them. You made a big deal over 2 months ago about the signature, where the signature block is and where the signature thing is. Got your policy. Doesn't say it needs to be signed. I have the government code, 53232.2, doesn't say that it has to be signed. It just says on an expense form. So all the hoopla that you had 2 weeks ago, and even stating it today as you did, Larry, that it's got to be signed and all this stuff, it doesn't have to be signed. There is no legal requirement. Many of you are new, so you haven't made mistakes, and you don't do an expense account. But other people have made mistakes, and they've been pointed out, and you should have seen them, but you didn't mention them. You didn't mention that Dawn did this, but somebody else did that too. So we need to do other stuff. So I agree, and this would be a first, Joe. I agree with Joe Washley. Joe Washley. Never be said again. That set this demarcation and square away the past, go ahead with the future. I can't imagine what you're going to be doing in the next few weeks with a new policy, since you didn't follow the last one. Doesn't make any difference what policy you have if you don't follow it. But to go forward, put Dawn in as mayor. I also served with Dawn on the POA board. She gave us term limits. Thank God, Dawn. And I really appreciate that. And Dawn, I think, should be made mayor again, which rights the wrongs, and some of the wrongs that weren't righted 2 weeks ago, and start fresh and start at the demarcation and say, let's go forward with what we had, where we were, and do that. I hope you make it, Don.
More comments?
Rick Garcia.
Hi, my name is Rick Garcia, and I have lived here a total of 3 weeks. So I like you all. I like you all. I read in the newspaper and saw some of the correspondence. I was going back and forth, and I said, I just have to go to that council meeting. I just have to understand what's going on. It's the first time I've gone to any council meeting, whether where I lived previously or here. But I felt the need to speak. I like you all. I don't hate anybody. I'm not sure what you did other than what I heard tonight. But it strikes me very funny that we all make mistakes. And again, I don't know you, but I guarantee you that every one of you had made a mistake on your paperwork. I was a senior vice president in the organization that I worked in for many, many years. And as some of these other people, I had my assistant fill out the paperwork, and in some cases, she signed my name, right or wrong. I'll go to jail for that. But things happen. So with 5 months left in the term, if that's what I'm hearing, and the opportunity of placing this individual back in that position, I don't see the harm. You know, we've agreed, and I'm part of the community now, so in some ways I've agreed, that a mistake was made. And we're talking about a mistake that's important. I get it. I understand it. And without knowing any of you, I just know what I've gone through in my business, and people make mistakes. So I'll leave it up to you, naturally, but it just seems like for 5 months you can make all these people happy, or at least a percentage of them, and then 5 months later, the next person can step into that role. So I just felt a need to say something. Like I said, I'm a 3-week virgin here, and I don't know anything. I went to the fiesta last weekend. My wife had a great time. Did you do that? Well, good job. But I'm sure there's a PO. Well, thank you all. But you have to get on back to business, and whether that's with you in the role or you back in the role, just get over it. You know, it's just an emotional thing. I get it. I've been angry and I've been mad and I've done all these kinds of things. But as a newcomer, as someone that's not been in this community, I think you just need to get over it and move on. So I'll leave it up to you. But I usually don't speak in front of people. Had no interest. I didn't come here for this reason. I'm sorry. So this lady, my fellow neighbor, just told me to sit down. Okay. So who are you for? Oh, now you don't want to speak? Oh, okay. So, okay, thank you very much.
I do not have any other speakers at this time.
Do we have additional comments from council?
I'd like to make a comment to the audience, and I hope you all remember what I campaigned on, integrity, honesty, and fairness. Also, part of the core values that I have is accountability. And because of my background in the fire service and being a chief officer, yes, you make mistakes, but you're accountable for them. You move on, life happens. Unfortunately, we had a situation that had some discrepancies, I'll call it. We tried to address them in the public forum as we were advised to by our legal counsel. We by no means implied or tried to indicate that Ms. Haggerty's integrity as far as theft or any of that was in question. We talked about what was not filled out and what was our current situation as far as policy. We have more people involved in the process than Councilman Haggerty. We had a failure in our checks and balances. We've identified that. If the checks and balances would have been in place, we wouldn't be here. I want you to know I take this job very seriously. I work very hard for you, and I don't make decisions lightly or off the cuff. I try to evaluate all sides and look at what is fair, but one of my cornerstones is I am accountable and I have to take ownership in what I do. And I thank you all for coming to this meeting. I wish you would all attend all of our meetings, but I don't think that's in question, but thank you again for coming.
Anything further? One more?
No.
Okay. All right, then. It's off to you.
Okay. So we're going to go to the voting. When I state your name, please state the name of the nominee you would like to nominate for mayor. Or vote for, I'm sorry. Councilmember Bonner.
Well, I can tell you, this is the toughest decision I've made.
Microphone, please.
Sorry. This hardest decision I've had to make in now 4.5 years as a council member and 2 years as the treasurer and the president of the POA. But sometimes these decisions are not easy, and we have to do what's best in the community. And I think I'm going to support Councilmember Bonner.
Councilmember Aaron Krantz.
I believe I placed the name of Don Haggerty in nomination for the mayor, and I think that when you have a dissenting vote, you have the opportunity to explain why. So with all due respect to Randy, who I've had the pleasure of serving with at the POA and on the city council, and I'm not voting against Randy, I'm voting for Don. If it turns out that Randy is the mayor, then of course I'll be happy to work with them. But I really think in order to heal this community, we need to reinstate Dawn. Let's get on with our business. She's got 4 months left to serve. Everybody will have an opportunity, as I say, with the exception of myself. I'm not looking for the job. So I'm voting for Don Haggerty.
Councilmember Green.
Bonner.
Councilmember Haggerty.
Haggerty.
And Mayor Pro Tem Warren.
Bonner.
Councilmember Bonner has been appointed to the mayor's seat, vote 3-2.
Okay, now it's over. I want to make a comment. I've known Dawn for a long period of time. She is a very respected, hardworking person. In my opinion, there was nothing she did crime-related, and anybody thought that's totally wrong. The amount she requested for the telephone was consistent with the policy. There was an issue with documentation, and that's where if we cross a line, there's a difference between responsibility and delegate to someone else. I'm sorry. Negligence. No, delegate. You can't delegate. You have to have responsibility for the document. You can't delegate to someone else. And I tell you, I hope that Dawn will be who she is. Was an incredible, terrific lady, and I hope she'll continue to do as the same as a council member going forward.
Okay, next on the agenda, selection of Mayor Pro Tem, Office Specialist.
We'll now open the floor for nominations for the appointment of Mayor Pro Tem seat. Are there any nominations?
Yes, I can't see any reason to change the Mayor Pro Tem for the rest of the calendar year, so I'd say Vicki Warren.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Jordan.
Any other nominations? If there are no other nominations, Councilmember Vicki Warren and and Councilmember Jordan Ehrenkrantz have been nominated for Mayor Pro Tem. At this time, are there any council comments?
Are there any council comments on Mayor Pro Tem?
No, but I want to repeat what Jordan said earlier. We've been together for many years, Jordan, and I respect for you for many ways, and so I hope that you don't conceive this as something like it's V versus Vicky, but I just think, I can't see any reason we need to change for the last 5 months. But I do highly appreciate everything you do for the council, and you did for, what, 5 years for the POA.
Any additional comments? Then you'll need to call for the vote.
So same process, when I state your name, please state the name of the council member you'd like to vote for. Councilmember Bonner,
Warren, Councilmember Warren.
Councilmember Aaron Krantz,
Oh, I get to talk again. I'm sure this must sound strange, but I can't vote for myself. I appreciate, Dawn, you placing my name in nomination, but I would think that Warren would be a better choice at this time.
Councilmember Green,
Warren.
Councilmember Haggerty,
So that we're all consistent, and with the withdrawal of Jordan, I vote for Vicky.
and Mayor Pro Tem Warren.
Warren?
Mayor Pro Tem Warren is appointed and stays as Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, moving to number 8 now. I want to take a break? Oh, okay. Yes. Let's take a 5-minute, just a 5 minutes, so we're not here too late tonight. 5 minutes, do it?
It was easier when I was the boss. No debating.
I expect you to be the anchor around here. I like that accountability stuff, you know that.
Well, that's
It's who you are, you can't change. You're anchored to.
that's my moral compass.
7:45. Mike.
Seven.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Feels like
Larry's not here. Larry. Larry's not here.
Gotta wait for Larry, I guess. Now you're on.
Where's, oh, no, he said he had to get some water or something.
Want a cookie? Have a cookie. I only have one, so she can't share it. You want a cookie?
Okay, I was surprised that you were when John came over and shook my hand. I haven't had anything to do with it.
You said he had to talk to him. Okay, make it 7:27 now,
Okay.
because Larry's back. Jim?
I didn't want to get you in trouble so early, Randy. Jim Randall, President of Chamber of Commerce. First off, I want to thank everybody that attended our golf tournament and those sponsors that we had. We were down on players, but believe it or not, the money came through. The first donation was made the other day to junior golf from the ball drop, over $800, and we're having a meeting Tuesday to figure out what else they're going to get. The other thing I'd like to speak of is we're going to start a program, being the small chamber that we are, you got to kind of make deals where you can. And we're bringing on a new member that has an IT department. And in that, we're going to start, I'm sure Randy and Jordan, you guys remember when we used to do the spotlight, the business spotlight of the month?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do 2 a month, but it's going to encapture a 10-mile radius. Part of that is to try to bring the outside people into the town center. Audie Murphy, Canyon Hills, whatever we can do to draw those people in. And we feel by spotlighting the businesses that are there, because a lot of people drive by, don't even know what's there. You know, they have no clue. I've actually had people tell me, well, that's a private shopping area.
Right.
Because they see the golf carts going across the street. So anyhow, that's a program that hopefully in the next couple of months we can have it up and running, and it'll be a random draw of which members get spotlighted each month and give a bio of their business, and hopefully we start bringing some more people into the town center. So that's all I have until August or September when we fire up for Oktoberfest.
Well, but don't forget, on the next roundtable that has to do with the town center is
Yes.
June 13th.
13th.
Tuesday.
I know, I have a doctor's appointment on the 12th, so,
Right.
you know, I lay it out appropriately. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Did you skip 8 or is there nothing going on?
Special.
No, that was it. That was
Chamber
the
of Commerce.
special.
I have special presentation.
It's under this. Okay, is there any public comments at this point?
I don't have any speaker request cards.
I think everyone's kind of speaked out. Okay. Okay, going to 10, the consent calendar. There's a
Would you like me to read the?
waiver of, oh, you want to read that?
Let me read the.
Okay.
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine matters, status reports, or documents covering previous city council action. The items listed on the consent calendar may be enacted in one motion. With the concurrence of the city council, a council member may request that an item be removed for further discussion. Staff recommends approval of all items.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar issues?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any, I think it was 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Schedule of future events.
We need
I
a roll
just-
call vote for,
I'm sorry?
yeah, consent is always a roll call vote.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
So Councilmember Bonner, or,
Yeah.
sorry, I have to rearrange all that.
That's all right.
Councilmember Aaron Krantz,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Haggerty, Mayor Pro Tem Warren, Mayor Bonner.
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get back in the role of 2014. Okay, schedule of future events. Now I'm working on two different deals. I just want to highlight the fact that we moved the July 5th council meeting to the 12th. Obviously, the 5th is the day after July 4th, and a lot of people aren't really want to go to a city council meeting. So the Public Safety and the Finance Committee will be the Tuesday before. It'll be the 11th. Okay? So I want to make sure everyone is aware of that. The Water Committee is on Thursday, September 21. And the Veteran Committee will be determined. Okay, is there any further comments about the calendar, the schedule? There's no reason to vote on that. No. Okay, let's go to public hearing. The public hearing approved resolution number 2017. You know, Stephanie, I'm used to reading this myself, so as a mayor, so I'm going to have to get used to either reading it or passing it to you.
We can figure that out as we
Yeah.
go.
You can go ahead and read it this
Okay.
time.
This is a public hearing to approve resolution number 2017-08, increasing and setting solid waste collection rates for the 2017-2018 fiscal year and providing for collection of residential services on the property tax roll. So if you-
Okay, the public hearing is open at 7:32. Staff presentation.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have Alex here. I won't butcher his last name, from CR&R. Give you an update on the fees and about their new anaerobic digesting facility. Alex.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Mayor Bonner. Tonight, before you is our standard annual CPI adjustment. Rates are adjusted per our contract by CPI. This year is about a 2% increase overall, and it passes through the county increases on disposal costs. As you know, the County of Riverside runs the disposal landfills, and so we basically pass that cost through. The average increase for a residential customer is 45 cents per month, and the increases to commercial customers will vary depending on the service level of that particular commercial customer. Overall, like I said earlier, the increase is about a 2% increase this year. That summarizes the proposed annual rate adjustment. If there are any questions before I get into the presentation, I can answer any questions you may have.
Any question on council? Audience, please present it.
Thank you very much. So tonight we are here to present a project that CR&R has been working on for the better part of the last decade. And it's called a anaerobic digestion facility. And what this facility will be doing is it will be recycling the organics that we currently collect, both residentially and commercially. Organics are basically green waste and food waste, okay? At build-out, after 4 phases, the facility will be a regional facility that can process up to 335,000 tons of organic material from Southern California cities. This is, we're very proud of it because this is the largest facility of its kind in the world, using the technology that we've been able to acquire from a company called Eisenmann out of Germany. I'm going to go through this very briefly. I know you guys have got a lot on your agenda. So in terms of CR&R and what we do, we have about 50 municipal contracts. A municipal contract is similar to what we have here with Canyon Lake. We have about 50 of those throughout Southern California. 12 processing contracts where we process material for other companies. We run about 900 trucks The slide's about a year old. We're about to 1,600 employees now. About 2.5 million customers served. We have 10 solid waste service centers, such as the one in Paris, one of our larger ones. We also operate 5 transfer stations and material recovery facilities. These are facilities that we process material, we recycle it, bale it, and market the material. And we also own and or operate 2 landfills, one in Yuma, Arizona, and one on the island of Catalina. There are 4 or 5 partners that we've partnered with on the anaerobic digestion technology company called Eisenman out of Germany. The bio-upgrade technology was out of New Zealand, a company called Green Lane. Our construction is a company called Lyles out of Temecula. We've also partnered with the Southern California Gas Company, and I'll explain why in just a minute. And our project engineer is JRM and Associates out of Brea. So the anaerobic digestion technology, what it'll do is after we collect organic solid waste and or liquid waste, it'll go into a main digester where it'll sit for 21 days. Normally this is a 90-day process. What this facility will do is speed up that process and commercialize it. At the end of the 21 days, we will create basically 3 different types of products. A soil amendment, a solid soil amendment, similar to what you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or any of those types of facilities. A liquid soil amendment that can be used by large farming operations, and a natural gas. And this natural gas is in California called a renewable natural gas. We'll be able to fuel our trucks as well as other vehicles. And we'll also be able to go into the gas pipeline that is obviously managed by SoCalGas. This is the first project of its kind here in California that will allow gas to be put into the gas pipeline for SoCalGas. Just going to go over this really briefly. California Air Resources Board put this graph together, basically showing the carbon intensity. In other words, how much pollution is put out by a gallon of whatever, whether it's diesel, CNG, landfill gas, or CR&R gas. You can see that diesel puts out about 90 in terms of carbon intensity, CNG about 75. Reason it's so high is because that gas actually comes from out of state. Most people don't know this, but SoCalGas doesn't produce its own gas. Basically, it's a transmitter. It transmits gas throughout its infrastructure. But there's a cost to bringing that CNG gas into California, environmental cost. Landfill gas, there's only one landfill we know of up in Northern California doing it. Landfill gas is a very dirty gas, so it's very hard to produce that gas. And fortunately for CR&R right now, our gas is rated a negative 24, so we're the only carbon negative fuel in California at this point in time.
Hey, Alex, aren't all the buses for RTA all by?
Yes. The bus industry and the trash industry are the 2 top industries using compressed natural gas at this time.
So we're moving in that direction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to go very briefly over this. The reasons behind us making this type of investment, there's a few laws, mainly AB 1594 and 1826. These laws basically say you can't take organic waste and put them in the landfill anymore. So you got to find a better place to put them, a better use for them. And so what we've done is we've made this investment. We've had some government assistance in terms of grants. The California Energy Commission gave us a grant for about $4.5 million on the first phase. AQMD about 1.4, and CalRecycle about $3 million. We put in so far for phases 1 and 2 an investment of about $53 million. $10 million of that has been helped through grant funding, and we've been able to bring down the cost as a result of those grants that we've been awarded. So the state legislature came to us and said, well, what can we do with organics? What are the 3 options? Well, you can landfill it and recover about 75% of the energy and about 75% of the emissions, but you don't get any of the nutrition out of it because it just sits in the landfill for eternity. You can compost it. You get 100% of the nutrition value because you create a compost material, but you don't get any energy or any emissions capture. On the anaerobic digestion side, we get 100% on all of it, and obviously everybody says, well, why Why doesn't everybody do it? Well, there's a significant investment in an aerobic digester. This is a artist rendering of the facility at build-out. The 4 domes you see there, basically they'll represent a phase. There's 4 phases to the project. We've completed phase 1. That's up and running. Phase 2 should be running by the end of July. And 3 and 4 have not been built yet. Those will be built depending upon whether we get additional contracts. Our largest contract to date is with the City of Los Angeles. They have committed 125 tons a day to the project. So far, here in Riverside County, we've got the City of Temecula, City of Wildomar, Lake Elsinore. Paris just approved theirs Tuesday night at their council meeting. Hemet, San Jacinto, Calamasa, and the County of Riverside. They should have theirs done by July 1st as well. So we are on our way to getting most of the cities signed up. We hope to have the City of Canyon Lake signed up as well. Just to let you know also, we have so far produced just over 83,000 gallons of renewable natural gas from that facility as of April 30th. Believe me, we had a lot of doubters in our industry whether this can even really happen, but we've been able to do that, so we're very proud of that. Just a few pictures. This is the picture of the first digester that we were building. A lot of steel went into it, obviously for earthquake issues here in California. Go ahead. This is one of our digesters, insulated all the way around. We maintain a temperature of 130 degrees Fahrenheit, plus or minus 1 degree. This is phase 1 again. With the digester and the post-digester, the round cylinder you see there is one of our post-digesters where the gas is kept and then moved on to the trucks at some point. This is phase 2, again a replica of phase 1 coming up out of the ground. This is part of our equipment. The bio upgrade system is those 3 towers you see on your left there from New Zealand in order to clean up the gas before it can go into the gas pipeline. This is our receiving building. We had to build a 50,000 square foot building to clean the green waste before we can put it into the digester. We tell people all the time, make sure you only put green waste in your green waste can. Make sure you only put recycles in your recycle can. We end up with everything under the sun in those cans. So we have to spend some time and some effort to get that material cleaned up and then sized properly for it to go into the digester. And this facility does that for us. It has both manual and mechanical sorting systems. This is a picture of the first load that came in and about to go into the digester. This is a cleanup system that we purchased from the from the country of Portugal. We had to go out to find this particular piece of equipment that was required by the SoCal Gas folks in order to be able to put the gas into the SoCal Gas pipeline. This is right before we get out into the street, out into the pipeline. SoCal Gas has basically got a monitoring system where they test the gas before it goes out, so it doesn't go into their system with any less purity than what they have now. Just a picture of the pipeline. This is the interconnect, 1.3 miles to the SoCal Gas interconnect. And this is a picture of one of our trucks being fueled by the gas. It's called a slow fill station, where the trucks are fueled overnight. And at the end of the day, they come back, they pop on the hoses, and they are ready for the next day. That's a very quick overview of the project itself. Like I said earlier, we hope to have the City of Canyon Lake on as quickly as possible. I've been working with Aaron on this. The cost is about $2 a month per household. And that is reduced by the grants that we were able to receive that I mentioned earlier. We hope to get you guys on. Any questions?
Wasn't a truck similar to that at the parade, the Fiesta Day parade?
That's the much smaller version.
Yeah.
That's the big truck. But yeah, we put a little truck in the parade.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Is that gas line that you're pumping to SoCal Gas, is that a high pressure line?
I believe it is, yes.
And it's above ground?
Below ground.
Oh, so that was just showing,
That's just showing the pipe, I'm sorry. It
Okay.
was just showing the pipe above ground. It went 8 feet below ground.
okay.
And then we actually had to go under the, which river is that? San Jacinto River, I think it is. We had to go 32 feet underneath that. So it was done by a boring company.
And there's no one in the U.S. that makes any of our equipment, huh?
We, not the equipment that we needed, unfortunately. But we did use some subcontractors for some of the equipment. But the main digester had to come from Eisenman out of Germany.
Alex, you said you've produced 83,000 gallons.
Yeah.
In what period of time?
From January through April 30th. And that's running at about 35% capacity. Takes a while to get this. It's a biological process, and I'm not an engineer. I'm not going to sit here and profess to know everything about it. But from what our engineers tell us, it is a biological process. We actually fed it with, the same things that a composting facility would use. And then it takes time for the bugs to grow and to, feel happy in there and make the gas and, all that kind of stuff.
So obviously, you're your biggest customer, right?
I'm sorry?
You're your biggest customer?
Yeah, our cities are our biggest customer. Yes, yes. And so far, like I said, we've got the cities here in Riverside County that I mentioned. We've got about 5 cities in Orange County and the city of LA.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Okay, is there any other questions to the staff by the city council?
Sure. Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that. No, what we've done is, yes. So the question is, for residents, will you be required to have an additional cart or bin at your home? What we've done is said there are no additional bins required. And if the city council chooses to get on this program, what we would do is a public education campaign where you would take your existing green waste container, you continue to put your yard waste and green waste in it, and now you could also include food waste in there. And we will give you a free kitchen pail. It's about 1.9 gallons that you can put underneath your sink or however that would work out for you. So you fill that up, you take it out, and you dump it into your green waste cart. But there's no additional carts needed. We try to make it as simple as possible and reduce the amount of potential change.
Okay. Go ahead. You want to come up so we can hear you, please?
Alex, I'm curious, do you accept manure, horse manure?
Great question. We had the city of Norco come by, and as you know, they've got a lot of horses. Most of the energy value in manure is gone. Once it comes out of the horse, it's gone. Now, will we take it incidental, what we call incidental to the load, which isn't a huge amount? Yes, we will take horse manure.
And you don't do Nickel Ranch, do you? Do you know where Nickel Ranch is?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, it's in Menifee, and one of the former council member, Menifee, is the owner or manager.
Oh, okay.
And he's asked the same question about the maneuver.
Yeah, we will take it. It doesn't have the energy value that we would like it to have to produce the gas, but we will take it.
Okay. All right, testimony by proponents? Testimony by opponents?
I'd like to say something.
Oh, please.
I took a tour of this facility last week, and it was just blew me away. That it's the only one in the United States is just amazing, and we have it here. And for California being a green state, I mean, this is really green. It's amazing from our trash and our lawn cuttings and our tree trimmings, they can produce enough gas ultimately to feed all of their trucks and be able to sell excess, stop me if I'm wrong. They can produce from the garbage and what have you, they can produce a compost that they can sell that will be a wonderful compost to buy for gardening and so forth. So everything, all of our trash is going to come back in a good way. And I just think and for $2 a month or less, whatever it turns out to be, I'm hoping, I know this is a tremendous $53 million investment, but I'm hoping once you're feeding all your own trucks and you're able to sell this compost that maybe our prices will go down a little because I know it's going to take a long time to pay back $53 million, but it's just so innovative, and it really is impressive and exciting to me that we are going to be truly green, and it isn't, your investor, I guess he's the owner of the company that's getting this investing, that it's only costing us such a little bit. It's just, it was awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming out. We appreciate that. And like I said earlier, the grant funding definitely offsets the initial cost. If it wasn't for that, the numbers we've come up with is about $3 to $4 a home. So that seed money, that initial seed money that California Energy Commission has, we've been fortunate in getting the grants, definitely helps offset the cost.
And we're not filling.
Just give us a couple of minutes, because I'll make sure you get on it. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm good. I was pointing it out.
Okay, let's get
Arthur,
rebuttal by proponents. Any rebuttal?
Question in the audience, Randy.
You want him to talk now, or I was going to have it
I
at the
think
end?
he probably has a question.
Okay, come forward. Did you come forward, please?
I just have a question on safety. I'm assuming that this is combustible in some manner, but just generally what kind of safety precautions for the plant.
Thanks.
Yeah,
So you wanted to wait until later?
There are probably close to 20 permits that we've had to pull from everybody from the fire department to AQMD to, just about everybody. The one thing we did put in there, requirement under AQMD, was a flare. Anytime you have these type of facilities, you have to have a flare. And that's if, for whatever reason, you have to get rid of some of the gas. The flare is in place. Obviously, we don't want to use it because that negates everything we've tried to do with the gas.
That's just for release.
That's for releasing it, yeah. There are a number of safeguards built into the plant itself. I'd offer you and anybody else who wants to do a tour of the facility to come on by. We do tours all the time. We've had a number of elected officials from throughout California and also throughout the United States. In addition to, we've had folks from Saudi Arabia, the Philippines, Kuwait, Hawaii. Like I said, this is the first of its kind in the world, not only in the United States. There are these in Europe, but a very, very small scale. Not at this size, not at 335,000 tons. So we welcome anybody who'd like to do a tour. It's about an hour or so long, so it's great technology. We had a ton of high school biology teachers out about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they were just loving it. So.
Okay, is there a rebuttal by proponents? Oh, we did that. Okay, the public hearing is closed at 7:54. Discussion by the city council?
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Alex, when are you going to be bringing the contract to Canyon Lake, and how do you need to collect this $2, assuming it's approved?
Sure. What I've done is submitted a draft contract amendment. Aaron's got that draft contract amendment, and it would have to come to council for approval. And I guess the challenge is, because Canyon Lake's on a parcel charge, if you don't do it this year, you have to wait a whole year. And our concern, and this is what we've been telling all of our cities, is we wanted to have our cities get the first bite at that apple. In other words, we don't know what the costs are going to be in phase 3 and phase 4. We've got the grant funding locked up for 1 and 2, so we know what the rates are going to be. But as that capacity is diminished, which we're very, very close to being sold out, then we can't guarantee what the rates are going to be in phase 3 and 4. So the sooner that City Council can commit to starting, and they don't have to start, you guys don't have to start July 1st. You can say, hey, we're going to start December 1st or or right, so January 1st, so on a quarterly type of system. What that would do, like for example, Temecula, they were one of the first cities to sign up. They're on a parcel charge, just like Canyon Lake. But they started mid-year. So the increase on the parcel charge was $12 for that year instead of $24 because they started mid-year. You see what I'm saying? So when you start is completely up to you. But what we'd like to do is get the contract amendment done so that we have your space committed. Your volume
That's why I
committed.
asked the question.
Yeah.
Because the tax roll deadline is August 10th.
Yes.
Would you like to add that into the process, have us renotice and come back to put it in this increase? That's about all I can offer you.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's going to be a year and you'll pick it up in arrears.
right. I preferably to do it this year would be the best thing. Not wait until next year and do it in arrears. So
If we had time. I always do that. If we had time to look at the contract amendment, ask any questions, decide the date to start, renotice it for the July 12th?
Yes.
July 12th meeting, would that work for you? You would have time to get the tax roll done?
Yeah, because then what we would do is probably not start it until October or January.
Would that be acceptable to the council? Which means it'll be back on your July 12th agenda?
Counsel?
And in the meantime,
I'm glad you asked the question.
I think you probably have a subcommittee that this would go to for review, but I'm not sure which one. Admin?
that be under finance?
Admin and finance? Admin and
Finance?
finance?
Okay.
So why don't we take a look at the contract amendment? We're going to have to renotice the hearing, but we can also continue it if you would like, just in case. Let's continue it, and it will get renoticed because of, I believe, under the contract. And then your Exhibit C can be revised to include the charge, assuming that you agree to do it. Will that
Sure,
work?
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely. Has to go for
Yeah,
approval.
it has to go.
Yeah, I just want to point something out that Alex mentioned to me when I was taking the tour. If we don't do it this year, if we wait till next year, they have a capacity and then that's it. And if we're not in the queue, then if they're full, we can't take advantage of
Well, I
this.
can't see any benefit to delay.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know? So let's, like you talked about, Betsy, let's try to bring it to the July meeting.
So can we get a motion for that?
If I may, just one little thing. You mentioned earlier, is it okay in terms of tax roll?
Mhm.
I don't know.
It should be.
I think it's okay, but I don't do the tax roll, so, but I'm pretty sure the dates are okay.
I'm pretty sure it's okay.
Okay, I just want to
But
put that out
if
there.
if it isn't okay,
I'll
let us know.
Let you know, yes.
Terry, you would know that, wouldn't you? Okay.
I make the
Just
motion.
wanted to put it out there.
I'm
Okay.
not sure what that motion is. but I-
Motion to continue the public hearing to July 12th.
Yes, thank you.
There's a motion. And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5, no. I think you have to.
Motion passed,
you have to
5-0.
announce it, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Okay, business items. Award of contract for the wrought iron fence repair project. Larry, is the chair of the finance committee, could you talk to that? Or maybe you want the staff to do it first?
Sure. Margaret's going to come up, and then I can add in
Okay.
to it, as well as the fire station,
Right.
because she's doing a great job.
Thank you. I'm Margaret, Charles Abbott Associates, Associate Engineer for Public Works and Engineering. Before you have an award of a contract for wrought iron fence repair, project number 2016-03. Recommendation that the City Council award and authorize the city manager to execute a contract and the city manager or his designee to administer the terms of the contract to the lowest responsible bidder, AB Fence Company of Beaumont, California, in the amount of $64,444.00 for the wrought iron fence repair project. Authorize the amounts of $16,500 for contingency and $7,000 for construction contract administration, staff time, and inspection. Total project budget in the amount of $87,944 and approve the plans and specifications prepared for this project. Last October of 2016, a request for construction bids was advertised for the wrought iron fence repair project. Bids were opened in November of 2016. Only 2 bids were received, and the low bid was $103,995. Engineer's estimate for the work was $88,000. Staff recommended the change in the fence material design from the existing custom fence to a stock fence to match the design of the south fence ring ornamentation, which is readily available and less expensive. Plans and specifications were redesigned and re-advertised for construction bids. On May 18th of 2017, bids were opened for the revised design, and 5 bidders submitted bids. An AB fence was the apparent low on that date. On the basis of the sealed competitive bids received after publicly advertising, AB Fence Company of Beaumont is the apparent lowest responsible bidder. Staff has checked their references and all of their documents. The fiscal impact for this project, Phase 1, of $87,944 was anticipated in this fiscal year 2016-17 general fund budget and was planned for with the widening and construction of Railroad Canyon Road in 2012. Due to the favorable bid prices received, staff is recommending approval of a higher contingency amount for the contract. Typically, the recommended contingency amount is between 10 and 15% of the contract amount, and staff is recommending a higher contingency of $16,500, which is 25% of the contract amount for this contract. If approved, staff is working with the proposed contractor to replace also the additional damaged fencing at the northwest corner of Country Club Drive, and also there's additional fencing panels on the south side that were involved with a vehicle collision. This was actually after the plans and specs were produced and approved and advertised. These 2 accidents actually happened. This will allow the city to take advantage of the favorable bid prices that we did receive and complete the additional damaged fencing sooner, resulting in higher level of service and an overall cost savings to the city. You have also before you an agreement with AB Fence Company, their bid and plans and specs. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Council, I just would like to say that she's done a great job of getting a very reasonable bid. Our ranges were as high as 112 plus change, and 83 and on down. So this is the lowest of the bids. I have walked the fence. Well, not literally walked the fence, but yes, I have, to look at the condition of the fence and the different aspects of what need to be replaced. She's worked very hard because some of the fence was custom, but if you look at it, we got a wide array of fencing that is along the boulevard, and most people at 45 miles an hour can't tell the difference between a round and a square. So, and all the fencing that will be installed will be powder coated and not paint. So that will be a maintenance feature for us. So I think it's a good deal. She's worked very hard to get this contract before you.
Yeah, if I can make a comment, you want to say something? Please.
Did I understand that the 25% contingency was to compensate for the additional work that they were going to do that had not been included in the original contract?
That is correct.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, this might be too confusing to the public, but it says in here, beyond the contingencies, there's a $7,000 for construction contract. This is not additional to what we're all paying Charles Abbott, who's managing this thing. It's just part of what we pay him of the total dollars that we pay for the work they do for the engineering area. So I want to make sure it's clear that it's not additional on top of the already, what we're already paying them. Nancy, do you want to say something? Could you come up, please? I hate to do this, Nancy. Oh, I forgot about your knee. I can trade you my knee for a nose, foot.
Over time, we've noticed many of the panels of wrought iron have been damaged by drivers who've hit them, and including the one at Country Club Drive. That's just happened recently. So has insurance money been realized by the city that would help to offset the cost of this contract?
To answer the question, yes, there has been some. I can't give you the amount. We are redoing our budget currently. We are making a line item in that budget, which is going to note cost recoveries based on insurance claims. We had a public safety meeting last week. Was it last week, Randy? Anyway, what I met with Lieutenant Q, and we are trying to streamline how the paperwork gets to us so it can be billed more expediently, and we're going to try to identify it in the budget so at the end of each year we'll know how much is done to city damage and how much we've recovered.
Okay,
That was 2 days ago. Tuesday.
Oh, it seems like a week ago.
Okay, Betsy, keep me honest on this one. During the discussion at the finance, we talked about the plants they're going to put in the in the middle of the Railroad Canyon, and we're going to put 4,400 plants.
It's a lot.
And Larry, I talked to Nancy briefly before this meeting, or right in the break, and we need to have her come over and talk about the reservoir and our responsibility relative to the filter.
Okay.
And get clarity, because if we put that many plants in there and they're going to turn on and die, it defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that okay, Betsy? I can talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nancy, you did hear, Margaret brought it to our attention that we are having some filter issues in the pond, and apparently it's due to the algae growth, and it's creating some difficulty, and apparently she hasn't had a good response from the water district as far as the working, keeping the filter going, so maybe there's something we can do. I know that it is posing a problem.
Okay, is Nancy coming back?
This has gone on for many, many years. The filters always have to be replaced. They break down, the algae gets in the pipes. The pond is an open pond, and debris gets in it, algae forms. We've had dead animals, leaves, branches, you name it. And several years ago, there was an agreement between the Water District and the city that the pond would be cleaned once a year in November, because that was when the city, when the EVMWD's staff had time. But there was also the agreement that if it needed to be done at another time, the request could be made. So I don't know who the request was made to, whether it was formally made or whatever. And if it's just made to employees of the Water District, that wouldn't work. It has to be made, I think, officially. So it's been an ongoing problem. The filters are always getting clogged. The lines are always getting clogged. The plants are always dying. So I don't know whether there needs to be a new plan or a problem solving on that one. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, we don't need a motion this one.
Well, she's got another 14
Do
too.
we do a motion on awarding the contract?
Yes, there's going to be a motion and second to, sorry, I did not get the motion and second if there was.
Okay, I guess we're going to do them separate, the fire station and the wrought iron, so I make a
Correct.
motion to
No, you
accept.
do them separate.
Yeah, so I make a motion to accept the bid for the replacement of the wrought iron fence, item 14.1.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? You have a call, please, roll call?
Yeah. Councilmember Aaron Krantz,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Haggerty, Mayor Pro Tem Warren,
Okay.
and Mayor Bonner.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Okay,
Okay, do
thank
I
you.
Okay, we
talk
have-
about the fire station?
To clarify,
Okay.
Councilmember Green's motion includes the three things under the recommendation for the city council: award and authorize the manager to execute the contract, authorize the contingency amounts and the $7,000, and approve the plans and specifications, correct?
That is correct.
That's what you said, right?
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what I heard.
14.1.
It's a long week.
All those in favor? Come on, Randy.
All right.
Okay, as you know, we've been working on the fire station, and what you have before you are two of the bids that we have been working on. Fire station shower repair and water heater closet repair project, 2017-02, and fire station ADA retrofit project, 2017-07. Recommendation is that the city council award and authorize the city manager to execute a contract and the city manager or his designee to administer the terms of that contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Masterline Plumbing Incorporated of Rancho Cucamonga, California, in the amount of $8,690 for the fire station shower repair and water heater closet door repair, project number 2017-02. Item number 2, authorize the amounts of $1,500 for contingency, $1,000 for construction contract administration staff time and inspection for a total project budget in the amount of $11,190. I'm going to make a side note. The staff time, inspection, and administration, again, is for budgeting purposes only. This is not an additional charge or fee from Charles Abbott Associates. Let's see, that's same project number 2017-02. Item number 3, award and authorize the city manager to execute a contract and the city manager or his designee to administer the terms of the contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Masterline Plumbing Incorporated of Rancho Cucamonga, California, in the amount of $7,425 for the ADA retrofit project 2017-07. Authorize the amounts of $1,500 for contingency, $1,000 for construction contract administration, staff time, and inspection for a total project budget in the amount of $9,925. On May 12th, just a few weeks ago, a request for construction bids was electronically advertised for the fire station shower repair, water heater closet repair, project number 2017-02, ADA retrofit project 2017-07. Local contractors were invited to bid, and a job walk was held on May 18th. 3 bids were received, and bids were opened on May 22nd. The low bid for fire station shower repair and water heater closet door repair projects, number 2017-02, was $8,690. The low bid for the ADA retrofit project, opened on the same day, was $7,425. And you have before you the line items as they were bid and each of those dollar amounts from Masterline Plumbing, Pro Team Construction, and W.F. Rice Jr. on all three, both of these projects. And W.F. Rice Jr. withdrew their bid for errors on the fire station ADA retrofit project 2017-07, as they had mathematical errors in their bid. On the basis of competitive bids received after advertising, Masterline Plumbing of Rancho Cucamonga is the apparent lowest responsible bidder. Staff has checked their references, their license, their documents, and found favorable reviews from each of the people who have actually worked with them, including cities. Fiscal impact. The fire station shower repair and water heater closet door repair project, -02 budget of $11,190, And the ADA retrofit project, -07, of $9,925 was anticipated in this fiscal year, 2016-17 general fund budget, and was planned for with the approval of the fire station rough order of magnitude budget at the city council meeting on April 5th. Due to the possibility of additional drywall replacement, staff is recommending an approval of a higher contingency amount for the contract. Typically, the recommended contingency amount is between 10 and 15% of the contract amount, and staff is recommending a contingency in the amount of $1,500. That would equal 17% and 20% respectively for each of the contract amounts. If approved, staff will work with the proposed contractor to replace any additional damaged drywall and insulation once found when the removals take place, as in we won't know until they actually open it up. This will allow the city to take advantage of the favorable bid prices that we received. As you can see, the next higher bid amounts are significant. And complete any potential additional work sooner, resulting in a higher level of service and an overall cost savings to the city. Attachments, you'll find the agreement and for both -02 and -07. Let me just say that our priority on this project is timing, more so than even budget. But if you approve this project, we will start working on it immediately. So.
Yeah, because the target is still to try to get the fire station.
Correct.
Open.
Yeah, you're
on July 1st.
Yeah.
Yes.
So time is of the essence.
Absolutely.
And
Yes, none of the local plumbers showed up at the job walk?
Unfortunately, we were actually calling and inviting people to come. There were people that were adamant about wanting to come, but when they found out that the legal requirements were above and beyond what they were able to deal with, they didn't actually come to the job walk.
So there was no local participation?
Honestly, there was two other guys that showed up, but they didn't actually bid.
they didn't bid it.
So you don't know that they were from here?
I don't know that they were from here or not.
Oh, Jim, you need to do a little work with some of our local contractors around here and let them know that there's an opportunity. I mean, they don't have to bid it if they don't want to, but certainly they shouldn't pass up an opportunity to bid locally.
As long as they meet, here's one of the problems that we have. The smaller contractors don't meet some of the bonding licensing issues that is required under our statutes, and even though they might give us a little better deal because we require these other things, all those insurance documents and stuff, that is usually, it precludes them from bidding because they can't meet the minimum requirements. So
Are you speaking for the contractors we have here?
no, I'm not, but I'm saying the ones that have come before us in the past, that was one of the reasons they didn't bid.
I know that some of them are familiar with public works.
Yeah. And I will say that we, just for information, we met yesterday. Time seems to be going so fast. Yesterday over at Paris Station to look at our apparatus and meet with the folks that are going to be staffing the facility and the moving in of the additional equipment and supplies and everything. And so they're moving at great speed right now to get it for July 1. So on our side, we'll do the interior first. That's what Margaret's been working on. We do have repairs that will be on the exterior of the facility, but that can be done after it's occupied. So she's been spending a lot of hours on it. We've walked the building. We brought someone in to address our ADA concerns, and because it's a satellite station and not a place that people can come and do business, our requirements are a little bit different, and she's worked very hard to get those, and here we are. We've got a contract in front of us, and thank you for your work.
You're welcome. Any more questions?
And can? And can. And can. But, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Now, do I make a motion? And the motion is going to have 4 pieces to it. Okay. Awarding the contract for Fire Station 60 rehab, item 14.2 on your agenda. Recommend that council award, if you've got the sheet, item number 1, which is to award and authorize and execute the contract, city manager, Rancho Masterline Plumbing. The amount is $8,690 for fire station shower repair and water closet. Item 2, authorize the amounts of $1,500 for contingency and $1,000 for construction contract, in a total budget of $11,109 for station shower repair and water heater closet. Award to authorize to execute a contract, again for Masterline, in the amount of $7,425 for ADA retrofit project. It's item 3. And the last is item 4, is authorize amounts of $1,500 for contingency, $1,000 for construction contract, staff and time, with a total budget in the amount of $9,925 for station ADA retrofit project 2017-07.
Second.
Wow.
Any further discussion? Okay, what do we want to call? Roll call?
Councilmember Aaron Krantz?
Yes.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Councilmember Haggerty? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Warren?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Vote, motion. Bonner. Sorry.
I'm not Brown.
Motion approved 5-0. I apologize for that.
No problem.
Monday.
Okay, can we go to the review and discussion of the city budget? Terry, you're...
Uh, 29788 Southwood Lane. Highland, California. Glad to be here. Your Honorable Mayor, members, City Council. You want me to start, Eric? Okay. What I'd like to do is walk through the staff report first, and then I have slides which basically have the same thing in front of you, and then field questions as you go. Don't hesitate to interrupt me. What you have before you is a proposed budget for 17-18. Total revenues, total general fund revenues estimated to be $4,784,300. Estimated expenditures are $4,928,269 for a projected deficit of $143,969. Since you received this budget, I received Lieutenant Q's request for 10% increase. And he used a different base than I did for 10%. So I have a new budget for the sheriff.
You went to 10%?
We increased 10%. They said between 8 and 10% is what we can expect, and I'm being cautious to do 10. If it comes in at 9.5, then we have a savings.
The difference between the 8 and 10 is like 30,000. It's I dropped this basically today, and so that lowers. It's a $115,000 reduction from what's in there, and so that lowers our current deficit to $29,319 from $143. Okay, and then there are some one-time costs included in that number. We have $30,000 for the fee study, which carried over. We have $80,000 for a fire station exhaust system, which we're trying to get a grant for, and then $24,000 for the city's portion of a vehicle for the off-road. And so with those one-time costs, it puts us, taken away from that, it puts us at about $104,000 surplus without those one-time costs. So I kind of wanted to get that out of the way. And then back to the staff report. The big changes this year,
For revenues, I increased the utility users tax about 20,000. It keeps coming in more every month, and I've had a couple years worth of experience now. So I increased that by 20,000. I increased the sales and use tax 57,000. And up until a year and a half ago, the state was keeping 25% of our sales tax and passing it through as a different tax. And now we're getting 100% of that. And based on what we collected to date, I think we're going to be up about 57,000 for next year. And then the fire structure fees up 27,000.
Terry?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a little confused on page 2 where you show the gas tax at 291.7.
Okay.
And you show Measure A at 175. And on page 9, I think it is, you showed different numbers. You show the gas tax at 326.2 and Measure A at 348.4. Could you explain to me why those are different?
Page 2. What page is page 2 for you?
Well, page 2
109?
is your.
Oh, 109?
And
Okay.
then, no, 9, on page 9, it's the fund balance summary. What,
Which number are you looking at on?
the
which
gas tax and Measure A,
one? Okay.
they're not the same as this, and so could you explain to me what the fund balance summary is versus what?
Oh,
the-
sure, sure. The first column of that, page 117, is the available fund balance, which I think is where we're going to end at June 30th, 2017. The second column then is the projected revenues for the year. And then those two added together are what's available to spend. Then the third number is the appropriations, what we're going to spend. And so if you take the third column minus the fourth column, that equals what I think the available fund balance will be, the ending fund balance at June 30th, 2018. And so if you look at the second column, the 292 for gas tax revenues, that agrees to page 109, 292,700. And so then the revenues of the Measure A, 175,400, so those all agree. If one time Ariel went through and made changes on this, and there's formulas, and it got all whacked out, so unless I let somebody else touch it, all the formulas should flow. So hopefully it works, so. All right, and so then the next largest item for revenues is the AVA grant, and it's $36,000. It's 60% of a car or a truck, off-road vehicle we're going to use to patrol out in the outer area.
What have they been using?
Cars that aren't made for it with low clearance and they're getting beat up. And so this will be a four-wheel drive with high clearance and independent suspension. So.
Yeah, the idea is we have the hybrid vehicles, we have the Colorado, and we have the Yukon, which aren't really, they have four-wheel drive, but they're not designed for the off-road, so we're looking at purchasing a Jeep.
Aren't they 2002 cars, vehicles?
They're 2008, one's an 08, one's an 09?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then individual budgets, city council budget, we increased 5,000 for a lobbyist for golf carts crossing Railroad Canyon Road. We bumped up another 4,000 to make the contribution to the chamber of 5,000. At the finance committee meeting, the committee members wanted to make that to 2,000 instead of 5,000 in total. And so that's a proposed change. In the city clerk's department, we no longer have a full-time city clerk. And so now we're proposing a deputy city clerk. So there's some savings there of about $65,000, and then $20,000 in last year for an election service, but there is no election this next year. And part of it is we transferred part of Ruby's cost out of city clerk over to code enforcement and NPDES, so that's another change.
Yeah, one of the things in the budget, just council and the job description should be here, would be we're looking at 2 position increases. We're looking at Stephanie's position to make a deputy city clerk, and we're looking to upgrade Ruby to a code enforcement tech. Now, Ruby's been going to school on her own for code, and she'd like to stay here. There's opportunities for her to do that. She will still be in the office. She'll go out in the field occasionally, but with all the work that's being generated by code and special enforcement. And we have Jean here, and she can speak to that. It'll be great to have Ruby in the office. She'll be able to streamline the administration process, somebody to concentrate really, I mean, and she's already doing business license now, so she can really concentrate on the business licenses really in the center as well, and making sure that everybody's following that as well.
So there's been we're working 4 days a week. There's a need for this? I have that as one of my questions.
Yes, and Jean, do you want to speak to that? Because the reason being, as we know, Jean's part-time. Our special enforcement and code enforcement are PERS annuitants, so they're only allowed 960 hours a year to work. And with our caseload that's been coming up, and I know the city attorney, both Betsy and Karen could probably attribute to some of that, this will allow better coverage because we are experiencing higher caseloads.
Yes, when I started here, there was 6 officers, 5 special enforcement, and then I myself was the first code enforcement officer. As the recession went, we cut our hours more and more and took on only the high priority stuff. But there's a lot of work that we've been putting off just because we don't have the manpower or the hours. Most of us can't work over 960 a year. We have a new officer, Gina. She is younger, so of course she could work more hours. And she came to us with code enforcement background plus being able to do special enforcement. And that's what we're asking for, is that we can get people cross-trained into both. I don't do 4-wheel drive. God help me. I white knuckle it out there.
Feel a flag out there.
So, but in the future, if we could get people cross-trained, and as we lost officers over the last 6 years, we didn't replace them, just because of the budget, but we really needed it. The workload is horrendous if we're gonna keep up with what the state and the county and what the laws tell us that we need to be doing.
And we're trying to
All of
do.
this for the bargain price of 29 or 30,000? How much is this additional?
Actually, it's about 2,000. Yes. It's about a $2,000 increase in salary.
You know, another thing, council members, I have and will be working to try to look at a cost recovery mechanism more driven on a baseline of level of services, but additional things that we have coming on that we're taking on, either it's through the enforcement side, that require a lot of additional staff time. There ought to be a recovery system for that, and we, as of yet, have not got a mechanism that could not stand the test. So there are forms and systems out there already made. It's change the name, protect the innocent, and make sure it fits the right codes for us. And I really think that that's a focus that that I'm trying to push from the admin finance side. They're in agreement on that, so I think that that's one of the things we're going to work forward to.
Okay.
And I think we're trying to do more coverage over in the north area.
Yeah, and the north area is creating additional workload for us in that just the things that are going on up there.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, I guess over the Memorial Day weekend, they had quite a few campers and boaters and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we watched them. They drop off right outside our gate and go around behind the houses and come up there. We watched them.
I mean, just one interesting example, a couple of weeks ago, somebody 4-byte out there left a boat and a trailer out there. Special enforcement went out there, took pictures, started a report process, went back out the next day. The trailer was gone, but the boat was still there. So.
And I believe the boat still is there?
It's blocking part of the
Right.
trail, which is, for us, that's serious.
So.
There was a fire.
So we have to get it out of there.
Yeah.
It needs to be dismantled.
Right.
We can't have it just towed out.
Right. So,
The size of it.
and I believe we're working with the county on that. They have that ability to do that.
Yeah.
That's some impressive rubbish.
Yeah. So we get lots of interesting things out in the BLM land.
Okay, is there any more that you want to cover?
Just a couple more increases. Increase the fire budget by $311,000 to reflect the fire station open 2-man crew. Animal control went up $39,000, $18,900 in debt service, and $20,400 in sheltering costs. And what happened is our percentage of the animals collected last year went up, and the cost went up, so our percentage went up.
That's a huge amount, though. We're sure of that amount because I've got
That's
a call
what,
in.
that's what they sent us.
It comes right from their form.
Yeah, that's what they sent
That
us.
is an awful lot. I'll
And that's
follow
what I
up.
thought too.
Yes.
I
And
mean, we have
so-
not audited that number.
Okay, we need to,
Yeah.
we'll get, but we also have a credit, we work on a credit with.
Right, I think we're the only ones that
We're the
have
only ones that
that,
have been using it.
have a
So
credit.
we will, I'll get that reduced because that's an insane amount.
Right.
to
And
go
that's
up in
what
one
we,
year.
we were looking at that going, they sent me 2 different emails, the same numbers.
Forward those to me?
Yeah.
please?
Mhm.
And that way it'll help me follow up.
Yeah, at least the one, I think they sent, well, I have the one with the budget. I think they sent it twice, but I know I have the original one with those numbers, and we're like,
Yeah.
that's odd, but.
No, that's
but
not.
But that's the,
It's a big jump for 1
right,
year.
because of
so-
the, obviously, as you know, sitting on the board, it's the animals collected, and so,
Right, but there's no way it could be that much. So I
Right.
wondered if that's what it was. I'll deal with that.
Okay. We will forward that.
Nothing else will work on the credit. Oh, it was like 8,000 or something before. It was a huge jump, a huge jump.
We went from like
They changed the
4% to
management.
6.8%.
Changed the
Right.
Yeah, so
And I don't think that's.
that's a big jump in 1 year. So that's the biggest we've seen year to date, or since the shelter opened today. So. And then the other large increases in special enforcement budget went up 121,000, 55,000 in salary and benefits as a result of, one, transferring part of Ruby's costs, and then Aaron can explain promoting Jean to, is it Jean?
Gina.
You're right.
To Senior Code Enforcement Officer since, and I don't know if everybody's aware, Ivan Henry has tendered his resignation. And it was, I think his last day was to be the 10th, but he turned in everything today. So Ivan is no longer with us. He wanted to concentrate more on his indoor jumping. And so Gina, like Jean said, Gina comes from Marietta with a very heavy code background. She's been great, really helping us with a lot of those cases. We know we have things like the interesting home on Appaloosa and things like that. And so she's been great with that. So we'll be doing a recruitment to replace Ivan. And so with Gina's experience, I mean, it was just it's a natural fit for her to go into that position.
And then there's also a 60,000 for the vehicle we talked about earlier, which is the full cost of the car.
Correct. It's 60/40.
30s.
The AVA program, the abandoned vehicle program, will pay for 60% of the vehicle.
Okay, so that 60,000 is our share, or is that?
That's the total cost.
That's the total cost.
Our share is more about
Our share
25.
is 25. Yeah.
All right.
Obviously, we have to budget for the whole thing, and then we get it back.
And then the gas tax fund, we increased 530,000 this year to do a slurry seal for the highway.
Now, as I recommended earlier,
Right.
and so let me speak to this, and then you can give me your 2 cents. And so I initially recommended we split it over 2 years. Well, I mean, we have the funding to do that. Terry said we have the funds, and we need to use them by, I think, 18. So he says we can afford to do the whole slurry seal. The idea is you want to do some sort of major treatment to a road every 5 years. We're probably at a PCI index. I think we're a little bit above 70 for a 5-year road with as much sun as that gets, and with the rain that we've had this last year, that road is in great shape. So we want to keep it that way. Typical roads are about 25 years. I think we can probably, if we do a treatment like this every 5 years, we should be able to get 30 years out of this road. Now, I've been asked by the city of Lake Elsinore to help. I want to get it out there. You can beat on me, and then please shoot the messenger. So, Lake Elsinore, was speaking with their city manager, and as Railroad / Newport is a regional road, they were asking for the city of Canyon Lake to throw in funds that we can
How
use.
was it was throw me a bone? Wasn't that how it was put?
Yes,
They want.
that was it. I was. I know I'm trying to be nice to them. You after what happened, I'm still recovering. So, but asked for $200,000 to help with Railroad Canyon on their side. And as the city manager there pointed to me, he said the most complaints he gets about Railroad Canyon are from Canyon Lake residents and not Lake Elsinore residents. So, being trying to play, be a regional player and be good with our neighbors, I would point out we could do my original idea where we'd split this out over 2 years, which would really be, we would do it late spring next year, and then we could do it the first thing when we have the new budget in July, so it would pretty much almost be done at once. But we'd have to bid it twice if we chose to go this route. Otherwise, chose to give Lake Elsinore $200,000 to help towards their portion of Railroad Canyon. I will leave that up to the council to either to do that or to leave it at the 500 and we just do our portion of the road.
But right now, it's not in this budget.
No, it's, well, we have the 560,000 to redo railroad, to put a slurry seal in Railroad Canyon.
Great.
We can take 200,000 out of that and give it to Lake Elsinore to help on their side.
We have a member of the audience that would like to speak to that.
Okay.
No, I can't believe,
I know.
this is not a
Terry's
charity.
getting out of the line of fire. It's a good move.
Looking at this problem historically, if you'll remember, the city of Canyon Lake paved Greenwald, which was county road, many years ago. We're still paying it off, I think. We might be paid off now, but it was not our responsibility. If you look at the situation in Lake Elsinore, it's developing like crazy. They're putting up rooftops everywhere, and they just added 400, or there's a possibility of 400 homes in the Pardee section that's brand new. In most communities, I believe, and especially in Murrieta and Temecula, the cities have asked the developers to do things like the roads, the traffic lights, beautification, you name it. And some cities have opted not to do that in order to make it even more attractive for developers to come. And I think I would love to see the city of Lake Elsinore have the developers kick in a little bit more. A lot of the damage to that road was done by the construction from Pardee Homes. It's not that I don't want to be a good neighbor to Lake Elsinore, but I think about this a great deal. The residents of Canyon Lake, because we have a small shopping center without big stores, without big box stores, we spend a great deal of our money in Lake Elsinore. We contribute, I think, somewhere between 20 and 30% of their sales tax comes from us. Maybe some of it's going to Menifee now because of the new stores that are going in, the new restaurants. I don't know whether people are switching their allegiance from one city to the other. But I think whenever Lake Elsinore asks us for something, whenever they give our city manager a hard time, or our council a hard time, or even our residents a hard time, it could be pointed out very nicely that we contribute greatly to their coffers. I'm talking greatly. Many of us are in Costco every single week. Many of us are in Lowe's or Home Depot every other day. It is a lot of money that we put into their coffers, and we don't have a way to do it in our own city. So I just offer that as a thought. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Well, and Nancy, what his message to us, throw us a bone.
Right.
Throw us a bone, and like, just, we need the money. It's incredible.
Oh, it was worse than that. It
Well-
didn't have to do with money.
Mhm. I honestly think that Canyon Lake has very little development. When Ted and I moved here 16 years ago, there were 650 lots available. Now there are only 200, and some of them are really not buildable. We have no way of increasing our rooftops. And Lake Elsinore is, I think, only 30% built out. They have full plans to go into the next 25 to 40 years to 350,000 people. We can't increase our little 11,000 people. There's no way to do it. So that's just my thought.
Vicki, why did you say it's not money?
No, I don't think it's about that. I think it was about, might as well say it on camera.
Yeah.
I don't think it was about money. I think it was about the situation, and I think there's a chip on the shoulder, and I think that it was a way of tweaking our nose, and I don't know, we haven't gotten a motion or discussion on that yet, but I'm pretty sure I know how I'm going to vote.
Well,
Aaron
right
knows how I'm
now-
going to
Yeah,
vote.
I think I know how everybody's going to vote, but I think maybe just before we go forward with the rest of this, just to kind of get a poll of the council, because we'll bring this back, I'll bring it up. We'll have to do it later. We have to do a meeting in a couple of weeks because we need to have the appropriations limit on there. But as a poll of the council, are we good repaving the road and leaving the 500 and some $1,000 in there, or would you like to give 200, or what? Would you like to give any money to Lake Elsinore? Yes or no?
No.
No.
No. Keep the
Adjourn.
500,000.
Do it all for our road. Okay, that's what we'll do. Thank you. Moving on.
Speaking of Railroad Canyon, Terry, I have a question.
Sure.
Under Public Works, the Measure A fund, you're showing under capital cost nothing for Railroad Canyon. I'm presuming we haven't paid off our loan to RCTC yet on that.
Yeah.
Where does that show up?
Which page are you on?
Well, under the booklet, I'm on page 41.
Okay, 41. All right, so on page 41, there's nothing under capital because the road is done and now we're paying the debt back. So if you look down below, there where it says operations and maintenance costs, see where it says principal expense RCTC advance, 82,000. So that 82,658 plus the 1,342 in interest, that's the 84,000 that we're going to pay to RCTC to pay them back for our advance.
Okay. Is that amortized over a number of years, or is that?
Yes, it was over 20 years.
We owe them about 300,000, don't we?
It was about 348 to begin with, and it's dropped down. We pay 84,000 a year, and very low interest rate, you can see. So, yeah, I think we have
Do you know what
4
the
years left to pay.
Okay.
I have the debt service schedule in my thing. If you want to know the exact amount, I could tell you.
Don, did you get your answer?
Pardon?
Did you get your answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, if we, this is a question, not a statement. Do we have a motion on 14.3.1, or do we want to do 1, 2, and 3 all at the same time? Under 14.3?
We've been interrupting Terry. Are you done?
I thought he said.
The only other thing was the AQMD fund where we're going to purchase another vehicle. The AQMD money is highly restricted, and we're at the point where we have to spend it or give it back to the AQMD. And so, like Aaron said, our cars are 7, 9, 10 years old.
Eight, almost, yeah, one of
So
them's
that
almost 10.
55,000
So we start
is for a
replacing it
car.
without using general fund money.
Right.
Also, if I could add, excuse me, the exhaust system that we have in a capital item, which is about $80,000. Excuse me. Last weekend, I had the opportunity to meet with Jeff Stone and his chief aide. And in our discussion, we talked about things that were available to us. And he had said Canyon Lake very seldom goes to them to ask them for things.
He was begging for us.
And I happened to mention that, so I passed his card on, the information on, to the administrative staff and let them make a contact and start the process, because he felt that AQMD, because it's an air quality issue, has up to $1 million that they have that can be committed. So that's a good opportunity for
Yeah,
us.
so staff's looking at that, so we have that, we either AQMD or there's some actually fire grants. So we're going to be looking at all avenues to see if we can pretty much get this paid for without general fund money.
And from the admin's committee, here in the very near future, and we talked to Terry about it, and we are looking at, we want to see a scope of work from the Public Works side of actually what they do, hours billed, and look at the amounts, and try to figure out, what is the best way for us to go. We've caught up on a lot of our projects.
Right.
We were delinquent in a lot because because of the downturn in the economy. We're making the turn. We see a lot of good stuff happening. So we're starting to look at contractual services and things that we're paying for.
Right,
So-
since now we should start seeing some of the, since, like Councilmember Green said, since we've caught up, I think, on a lot of things, we'll be getting stuff from Public Works saying, okay, this is what they've done so far, this is what they see that still needs to be addressed, and see how we can plan that out.
I have another question.
Sure.
Could you explain to me why our operations and maintenance increased by over $1 million?
Yes, I can. No, I'm just kidding.
Can you tell what page are you on?
7 on the package.
The largest reason on this budget is, but it's going to change a little, is two areas, police and fire. The increases are fire's 300, and fire is 311,000. The police is 135, and then the slurry seal on the road is 530,000. That's the $1 million.
So the slurry seal was in that, okay.
Yes. It's not, you don't capitalize that. It's more of a maintenance cost, so that's why it's in maintenance, so.
Okay.
The slides basically just repeat what's in here, and so if there's no other questions, then I'm done, and we can let Stephanie off the hook, so.
So Betsy, can we just approve 4.31, or do you want us to do all, under everything under 14.3 at one time?
But we're not
going to approve the budget tonight.
We're just looking at, and we'll approve it next time, because
You-
we
yeah.
have some shifting around. we need to
You
do.
need to come back with your budget and your appropriations limit, for which I believe you need another meeting. Didn't you
Right,
have a
that's
meeting?
correct, and I think we're looking at, to make sure that we can accommodate Councilmember Hagerty's knee surgery, I think we're
I'll
looking,
be out of town too, so later.
I think we looked at the 20th.
Yeah, I'll be in
And
town.
if everybody's amenable to the 20th, is there any particular, you want to do you want to do a lunch meeting, or would you prefer to do it in the evening?
20th is okay with me.
Okay.
Is 20 okay?
Yeah.
Everybody can do, right? I think we talked, Jordan?
Would you like
So
to
we
do it?
So we can do the 20th at noon?
Yeah, it's good for me.
Fine
Does that
with-
work for you,
is that-
Terry?
Dawn, is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Larry?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do.
Okay, so we will post a special meeting and make sure, yeah.
And what I'll have then is I'll have some concise slides, and any changes that we talked about tonight will be on a separate sheet, so you can see those.
Now, this is June 20th at noon we're talking about, right?
And Terry, I'm sure you said this, but, because we got two packages. We got one from the finance, and then one in the, a final document that's only what we're going to finally approve.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, what we'll do now is we can take whatever here. I think the only thing that I didn't hear is, any discussion regarding funding of the chamber?
He mentioned that we.
Okay, we put in
have
5,000.
5,000.
It went to admin and finance, and their
And we lowered it
recommendation,
to
they
two.
lowered it to 2.
So it's really,
That
was our recommendation.
recommendation to
but
2. What would the council as a whole, do they want to leave it at 2, put it back at 5, 0, 10? What would the council as a group like to fund the chamber with?
What
We've
did
got a
we
lot
fund
of
them with this year?
numbers shifting around. If we could put it down, I mean, is it when we meet again, if the numbers change enough? I'm really worried that we're going to be.
You can make me change it to 2, and then if you want to add it later,
Yeah,
you can change it
You
at
can
that
change-
meeting.
You want to do that, so we'll leave it at 2.
What is it this year?
We budget 1,000.
1,000.
In the old days, we used to give 5, back before the recession, but
And I think we should go back to that, but over a couple,
Over
3
time.
years.
Build it up, so 2 this year, and then we'll plan for 3 next year, that we can
Right,
put that
and
on.
who knows, like I said,
Well,
once the
I
numbers
think it's
shift
gonna
around
be-
again, maybe.
Okay.
it's going to be driven on where we are as the economy.
True.
And I mean, we got the good days are here, but we're going to have some short times coming soon. So I just think we need to keep that always in the back of our minds.
And there is an additional 3,000 that we have to put in for data recovery for the server that crashed. So if we lower the chamber 3,000, but that's kind of a wash.
It's kind of a wash.
I'm sorry,
there for us.
3,000 for what?
Data recovery.
Oh, data
For
recovery.
our server.
The server?
Yes.
And the city attorney had mentioned that hers might be too high, so we could look at that.
Yeah.
but-
Well, we can't spend that in this year budget?
I'm sorry?
We can't
Well,
spend.
I'm not sure when we get the bill. It
Huh?
depends
Yeah.
on when we get the bill.
It depends on when we get the bill.
Yeah.
I also, though.
Moving along.
Are do we encumber funds? Do we carry over, or what do you do when you got a project pending?
We don't usually carry over. The appropriation lapse and we rebudget it.
Where's the money go?
Just in fund balance.
Back
just
in
reserve
the
balance.
general
Yeah.
fund?
Yes.
But we are carrying over the fire station one that you approved.
Yeah.
All those costs will
And-
carry over.
and the
we'll
fee
be-
study.
And, well, the fee studies we're rebudgeting.
Right.
And
So
I did
basically-
notice that we had 4,000 down for the Veterans Committee, and
Mm-hmm.
we had only approved a $3,000 last year, I think, right?
Right. And
So we went up to 4, but that cannot count for all the donations.
No, it's kind of what we did last year, right?
Well,
It's-
we
Paid
record the donations, we
donations.
keep track of them, but we record them as a miscellaneous revenue.
Revenue.
But we offset, it's all in the general
It's all-
fund, it
yeah.
offsets the cost.
So it's kind of like buying the Jeep, right? We budget for the 60 and then we get the 60% back.
Well, how difficult is it when we have donated money come in for a specific project like the veterans, that we have an account that's set up? that
Well, we used to.
Instead of it being miscellaneous?
Right. When we first started getting the donations for the Veterans Day, is it the monument? We set that up in a trust and agency fund, which is strictly, we get cash in and we hold it as a liability until we spend it on that. But that was a lot of accounting and a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so once we did that, then we just keep an Excel schedule going of the revenues. We can set up a separate revenue account called donations. We're going to set up a separate revenue account for
Cost
reimbursements,
recovery.
cost
Right.
recovery. So we will include a
Okay.
separate revenue account for that.
Because I just think from our standpoint, if we're looking at it, like Vicki was saying, she wants to know what's in there and how much is coming in, which is a
Right.
good idea.
We keep track in Excel though.
Yeah.
So we can provide that to you. But like you said, it's such a small amount, it's not worth accounting for in a separate fund, so.
I'm trying to pay attention to what's been said around here, but did I understand that this $4,000 is not going to the chamber now?
Well, we budgeted 5, Finance Committee recommended 2. And so
This
that's
is-
up to this council right now.
This says 4.
Well, that's an increase of 4, from 1 to 5.
5.
The increase is 4, but there's a total of 5.
Well, of all the things that we cut, and I'm sure that you've gathered by now that I'm an advocate
Yes,
for the
sir.
Chamber of Commerce. You know, they struggle. And that's the only connection we have to this whole shopping center, is to produce something that makes it interesting for everybody here. I'm opposed to cutting. I mean, we used to give them $10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
remember that, yeah.
then the council cut it down to 0. So I'm just telling you, I'm digging in my heels. I think the $4,000 should go to the council. to
Well,
the,
right now, we have 5 in there.
No, we said 2,000 in the budget.
Well,
And then it's gonna be approved or not approved.
Right. Well, the budget in front of you has a total of 5, because the Finance Committee met, and then the budget was already pushed out. So your recommendation to the council is to switch from 5 to 2.
Correct.
And so it would take 3/5 to vote it to the 5.
And which, just to clarify, that is not a reduction from what we are paying right now, that's an actual.
I
slight
understand, but I thought it
It's
was
an
a
increase,
generous increase to put $4,000 in there, and I think the chamber really does need that. They're working very hard. As I say, if you haven't gathered by now that I'm pro-chamber.
Well, I'm a
I'll take it.
big supporter. I did the roundtable trying to make things easier for people to go and shop inside the town center. So probably been more forward than anybody relative to try to get the town center more excited and more movement and more business. But we gotta be smart about how much we can afford. And I'm saying, we increase it from 1,000 to 2,000 from last year. Maybe mid-year, if everything's going fine, we can and change it to 3,000 or 4,000. But let's just start at 2,000, 1,000 increase from last year, and move forward.
Well, I'm still opposed to
We're
that.
over budget, and I don't like that, so let's take it in where we can.
Just sharing my thoughts with you.
That's fine.
I have a question.
Sure.
I didn't see anywhere any budget for any BLM costs. Hopefully, in the near future, every year we say it's going to happen next year. There will be some action there, and we have nothing budgeted for a consultant or for anything to do with the BLM. Is that a decision that was made?
No, from what I'm hearing, it's not as close as they've told us in the past. And when it comes to that point, it would be such a large capital purchase that we'd have to take reserves, and so that would be something that would have to come back for the council. And so really kind of budgeting for that right now is not prudent.
No, I was thinking in small term, not for capital investment, but if there was some kind of research that had to be done or anything to push things along, any lower expenses.
Right,
that-
so I think we're at the point now that we're just waiting for them to surplus the property. And when that happens, then we'll come back to the council, because as we've been told, the city will get first right of refusal. And so,
If they don't, whoever said that died before it happens.
I believe that's what Congressman Calvert's office has told us.
We don't have anything in writing on that, do we?
No, but talking to his staff, they basically said, yeah, I can see what I can get from them, where there's got to be some sort of statute saying it that allows that, probably the encompassing government agency or something like that, to be able to purchase the surplus land.
I think there's a statement, you know that plan they do, that overall plan that the BLM does?
Any other questions?
We were looking at the off-road or the mining stuff. I think there's a statement in there about.
Thank you, Terry.
I don't know if it mentions Ken. I think that guy in Palm Springs who's been so helpful.
So we have the
Yeah.
fire contract now?
I'm not sure it's Doug.
I'm sorry?
Put it in.
Okay.
Can we have a
So-
motion to approve 14?
No, we're going to bring this back at the
For
special
final
meeting.
budget.
Yeah, we're going to bring back the budget at the
Right.
special meeting on June 20th at noon.
Okay. Okay, how about 14.3.2? Do we need to do anything there?
All right, well, we'll make this quick. This is just a ratification of what the council has already approved. This is the ratification of the fire contract with the County of Riverside. This was the contract that,
14.3.2, we skipped that, resolution number 20.
oh, I'm sorry. We'll bring that all back. The salary and everything, that's all part of the budget. We'll all bring that back to you at that time, I'm sorry.
The whole 14.3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole 14.3 we'll bring back on the 20th meeting.
Okay, can we move to 14.4 then?
Yes.
Okay, go
Was that the
ahead.
fire contract?
Go ahead.
Okay. So real quick, it's just ratifying the agreement. This is the same contract that you gave me authority to sign once the Board of Supervisors approved it. We signed it, Betsy and I signed it, we sent it off to them. We're just now waiting for the signed copy from the Board of Supervisors. As you heard earlier this evening, we're working on our end. We, obviously, as you know, the station has a lot of rehab work needs to be done. However, we're concentrating on the inside, so it will be habitable by July 1st. Talking with Margaret and Ken there in Public Works, they're assuring us that, a lot of these things, like the plumbing that'll take place, should be about a week at the most. Then we have some painting. Painters are going to come in. Then we have a cleaning crew that comes, and that'll allow. And then we need to replace the bedding. And then after that, it should be ready to be habitable. And the other stuff is things that we can do while they staff the station.
And when the police from the fire department was here at the public safety, he said they were going through the recruiting.
Right,
people.
and as you heard from Councilmember Green when they went out to look at the engine, we do own an engine. It is coming back to us.
Somebody else's name on it.
It's coming back. It's coming back with the proper decals, and with Councilmember Green's vast years of fire service experience, he seems to think that our engine's in pretty good shape for as old as it is.
Good.
Okay, 14.4,
Didn't she wanna talk
14.2?
about some
I don't
kind
think
of
there's anything we need
public
to do there.
And it's on there too, just to run it by the council. Does the council want to do any kind of ribbon cutting to bring
Oh,
it
yeah,
back?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking maybe we should probably, I don't know, if I'll get a better timeline from Margaret. When we can wait till everything's done, or at least maybe say the 1st of August, once they're in there and staffed and they've been.
And the signs out front.
And the signs out front, yes, we're getting a new sign. And so I'm thinking we do something a month or 2 months in. Maybe we can at least do something probably before Labor Day.
Yeah.
And so I'll work that out with Chief Pemberton and his battalion chiefs.
Yeah, the closest to the July 1st date that we can.
Okay.
So that it still stays fresh. That this is
Okay,
brand new.
maybe we can do something middle of July.
Yeah.
We'll do something that,
And let's try to find a time, it's not easy, but to try to find where we're going to maximum citizens can be available.
right, so I think we do something on a Saturday. We can do kind of an open house. Everybody likes to go look at fire apparatus, right? It's a fire engine. Everybody thinks it's cool. I don't think Councilmember Green thinks it's so cool.
I know. He's bored with
But,
the whole thing
yeah,
now.
we have the 4th of July. I don't know if you'd want to do it on a holiday.
No, I would say not on a
I
holiday.
think you'd want to do, probably, you'd probably want to do it on a separate, I'm thinking a Saturday. So we'll look at some dates, we'll send that out to the council. I'll get with Chief Pemberton next week and see how that looks. Something we can do. So I'm thinking, let's see, that's the 1, so maybe like the 15th.
We need to also do a invite to the press.
Right.
And a press release.
Yes, we'll put out press
and
releases.
get everybody out there.
The board, we'll send it to the Board of Supervisors because it passed 4-0.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want to be nice. That's right.
Do you have any more going to?
But other than that,
I
but I need a motion and everything to ratify the contract.
So moved. Okay. I think we
All in
should do a roll
favor?
call.
Do roll
Because
call.
it's
You
an
have to do a roll call?
expenditure of
There's an
funds.
expenditure.
Quite a bit of funds.
Yeah.
Councilmember Aaron Krantz,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Haggerty,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Bonner.
Here it is.
Approved 5-0.
All right, I'm not going to take a break, but I'm going to take it personal, and you're going to talk first.
I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Come on now, you're not going to talk about the Vector?
I was gone all this past month,
He was enjoying
so I have no reports.
Okay.
So get back here, Randy.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm sorry, I did not attend any meetings, except for today, and I don't want to talk about SCAG today.
Looks like it really hurts.
Any other, do you have something you want
No. I was reading that if we attend a meeting, we are, according to the policy of the city, supposed to report on it. So I'm just going to report that I did attend my RTA meeting, my RTA budget meeting, my RCTC meeting, and my RCTC budget meeting.
Anything that you expense for, you have to report on. That's the deal, right? That was a policy I read?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there is something I would probably let everybody aware of. And this came because of our code enforcement via the POA. We had an electrical shock that occurred in a cove due to residents in a boat paddling with aluminum paddle, which triggered a whole research on how docks are wired. And what they ended up doing is they took the entire cove, they brought all the power down off all the docks, brought metering instruments in to see what's in the water. They couldn't find it. Well, I just talked to our code enforcement folks, and we have no authority on private docks on a private lake. But what I did recommend is that Lake Elsinore and other cities do have a recommended electrical spec sheet, because there's a lot of new docks going in, and that could be handed out to the residents as a recommendation, and they could hand that to their contractors so that they know what would be expected as being wired. But
We should work with the POA and have them do that?
well, it's going to be a joint. The POA is asking us for a spec. That's how this whole thing got going. So, anyway, they're working on it, but if you hear about it, it's yeah. But they don't inspect the electrical. There's no, and so they've got and that was over at Point Marina. So anyway.
We have to approve the plans, though.
The plans, but there is no electrical, that's what they're asking.
The electrical doesn't show in the plans?
There's no spec for it.
No, they want us, I know, is that weird?
No, there isn't. So anybody that's got a dock, that's got some power, whether it's lights or a hoist or whatever, which most do, have some type of electrical. And they were asking for the standards. So anyway, enough time on that. That was at Point Marina. So the rest of it you heard from the code enforcement about abandoned vehicles and stuff. Randy?
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add because I was also gone most of the
Don, do you have anything? Okay, I'm not going to say anything either. I think I said enough. Okay, the next meeting is the 12th?
July 12th.
Okay, well, the next one is July 12th. Okay, 6:30.
Just working out.
And they'll probably have closed session before I have dinner. Yeah, on the 20th. June
Oh, the
20th.
next council meeting is the 12th, but the next special meeting for the budget is the 20th of June.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready to adjourn?
Ready to adjourn?
Okay.
Yes.
We have the water meeting, that I responded to.
The veterans?
And I said we had a water meeting.
Water the
Yeah. So the water
15th at
meeting
9,
Okay.
and then veterans will be at noon.
Yeah, you know what, if we're gonna do it at noon, there's no sense in doing it, because the whole point is, for the Veterans Committee, it's quite different than a safety committee. We have people that are dedicated to coming. So if we can find a better day where we can do it at 4:30 or 5, I think that would be better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think noon is too big a change for them, and we have a loyal group that really wants to be there.